morning. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. Today is May 31st, 2022. The time is 9 a.m. I will call to order this meeting of the County Commissioners. And if you could all silence your cell phones at this time, please. And Reggie, would you mind leading us in the pledge, please?
For your last time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reggie. Dorothy, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day. Huh? Do you want to do that? You can do it, or I can do it. I don't care.
Yes.
Oh,
Wrong meeting. It's Kelly's job.
Kelly, would you, that was just getting even. For
I
the
know
minutes.
Dorothy doesn't like to do it, so
Sorry about that.
that's okay. Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kim, Commissioner Flower,
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Okay, let's start with our audience. We can start here and just work our way back.
Peggy Collins.
Steve Cox.
Ann Millette,
Bob Siderhoff.
Arlene Kaiser,
Twyla Giroux.
Gino Ferraro.
Janet Rhodes, Jenna Calkins, Ann Barthrop, Reggie Foster.
Dorothy Karsten.
Okay, and if you go to speak later, we'll ask that you go ahead and identify yourself for the record for us, and the same with those that are online, please. Amendments to the agenda. I would have one. I would like to add at the beginning of our new business, addressing the independence. I cannot even speak.
Ethics.
I'll just say IEC ruling.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion on that, gentlemen?
Where do you want to put it?
I think I would put it at the beginning of our new business. Those in favor of adding, addressing the IEC ruling as the first item of business, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any other amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
Done here.
Okay. That brings us to our minutes for February 28th, March 1st and 2nd.
You know, I'll move, we accept those because I got them off early.
I would have a little addition to those. I'll second your motion.
You need to discuss it.
And then we'll go into discussion. I would have a change on the March 1st and 2nd as to adjourn the meeting is the only thing that I found on that.
Okay.
Anything else?
That was the only thing I saw.
That was because I pointed it out, probably.
Yes,
Has to be right.
I did
Okay,
go look at them.
those in favor of accepting the minutes for February 28th, March 1st and March 2nd as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner items. Tom.
Thank you, sir. Update on the status of our extension office. Obviously, Friday was Guinevere's last day. So I communicated with her. She left her laptop and password and keys. I had the keys, gave them to Kelly. So she's going to meet with Dorothy and decide who's going to be the keeper of those keys until someone hired. Obviously, Caitlin will be manning that office. I spoke with CSU rep, that is Dawes Regional Director leading. He will be leading the interview process. Unfortunately, in reality, we probably will not have a new extension agent until September or October. So he has reached out to the extension director in Fremont County, Jeremy McNeely, who has agreed to come up on a part-time basis as an interim director and help us get through the activities, of course, primarily being the county fair. So I would expect that we would need to reimburse him for his mileage. And I believe we should offer up, at least offer to provide him room during the county fair, so he doesn't have to drive back and forth. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I don't know if you want official action on that decision to reimburse mileage or not, and offer up a motel room.
That would probably be prudent.
Make a motion and
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with that. I would move that we commit to reimbursing Jeremy McNeely for his travel and lodging if necessary between now and when we hire a full-time extension director.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion on the floor to reimburse Fremont County Extension Agent. I didn't write his name.
Yeah, Jeremy McNeely,
Jeremy McNeely.
3 E's.
So I have a motion on the floor to reimburse him for mileage and lodging if needed until we get a extension agent. Any discussion?
No, good thing.
Yeah, I think we would not have to. We couldn't expect him to come up here and have Fremont County pay for it.
Okay, anything from the floor on that? Okay, those in favor of reimbursing Jeremy McNeely for his travel and lodging until we get an extension agent hired, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else? Phil?
I'll go through my calendar real quick, I guess. Sorry. I don't have anything else about.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Let's see, obviously, we attended the commissioner meeting on the 18th out at the airport. Those guys did a great job hosting us out there. It was good to see the fuel tank installed, and I'm not aware that they put any fuel into it yet, but I think that's forthcoming. On the 20th, I attended, as we all did, of course, ARPA workshop here in the commissioner room, moving that process forward. We still do not have our second deposit. I checked with Virginia this morning. Also, Treasury sent us an email and said they would inform us via email prior to us receiving that deposit. So we've got to keep our eyes out for that. On May 23rd, I attended the Central Front Range Transportation Region Planning meeting down in Colorado Springs. Presented in person the grant for the improvements on the sidewalk out here west of the courthouse. I think there were 12 grant applications presented that day. And then the following day, I met with 3 representatives from CDOT here. And we discussed that whole project at some length, and they had some recommendations. So I'm going to revise that grant application and submit it. Resubmitted by the 6th. So it looks like now that their recommendation is that we use this grant for engineering and design work. Because there's a problem with the MMOF funding, it will not cover asphalt lay for that 225 feet. They'll cover asphalt patching, but not anything to that extent. So they recommended that we change that grant, revise that down to about $250,000. Get the engineering and the design work and easements and the property lines and all that stuff done. And then next year resubmit for the actual construction of that. Their thought was that we go about out to the white line of the highway and change the slope from its 11% now, change that to about 2%, which will raise the level of this parking up. And then lower these two sidewalks down to about 5% slope. They're at 2 now. The maximum we can have them is 8 to meet ADA requirements. And then the estimate is we'd be off by the distance of those two levels by the height of the curb for the highway. So we tie right in at the top of the curb. And if you want to get a sense of what that would look like in the next block north is exactly what we're shooting for. So when they poured the new deck right here at the corner, that elevation would carry around the corner and all the way down to the parking lot. That's their recommendations. Just have to, I'll resubmit this grant, revise it, and submit it by the 6th, and we'll go there. They're very confident that that committee will fund that grant. So I'm moving forward with that. And then I met with Custer County Recycles on the 26th. We're moving forward with that. We have a new delivery date for the baler, June 20th. I have contracted Crane to be here that morning to offload that. And then Altitude Recycles, Tyler's supposed to be here on the 23rd to set, hook up, and provide training for that baler. So it should be fired up and ready to go by the end of the day on the 23rd if everything goes right. And we're also working on some other stuff you'll see in the accounts payable that we've moved forward with purchasing of those trailers. I've got the license plates for them. High Country Recycling and Sustainable Ways donated 2 of those trailers to the county. So we've got the titles and the license plates for those. High Country Recycling purchased 2 more. I picked one of them up this weekend. It's over at the Search and Rescue building. And they are finishing up the title work on the second last trailer. There's 8 trailers. So I would expect that they're going to donate those to the county as well. Still waiting on the culvert up there at the north collection site where the fire training is. Vince said when he got that culvert, he'd put it in and let me know. Okay. And then, of course, we leave this afternoon to go to the CCI conference. I will take that gift basket and make sure it's where it needs to be.
Sounds good.
That's all I have. So thanks.
Bill.
Yeah, I don't have, lots have happened. I have 2 things I want to mention. First of all, I want to thank everybody publicly for your support on the loss of our 2 horses that got electrocuted before we had in the same pasture. And so appreciate your thoughts and cares and prayers. Saddle horses that, that are Joanne's personal buddies and a mother of our little filly that got nailed. Freak deal in all the lives, all my life in here, having power lines go down, but never crossed 2 horses at the same time. So thank you all. Everything I said, I'd like to thank you, Kevin, for putting the agenda item on to address the complaint findings of fact on complaint 20-73 of the Independence Ethics Commission. Because I got a lot of calls all last week and up till this morning. And that's why a lot of people are here right now, because I said if it wasn't on the agenda during commissioner items, it's important that I for sure do it. And the reason is we were each addressed the letter of the findings. So it's important to acknowledge that publicly, that we do have an ethics violation by our Commissioner Tom Flower that is public knowledge, because that's been in the papers, been all over. So, but we have to acknowledge it independently as well as a board, and that's what's going to happen now that you've got it on the agenda. So I appreciate that. Thank you for moving it there. So I'll save comments for that later. And I don't want, there's other things that would be worth saying that we can get into later on other things, but they certainly can wait for the more important thing to have this solved or resolved, not resolved, but addressed. So thank you. Do that bit.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Basically, I believe Tom covered most everything. Basically, we had the ARPA workshop, our planning and zoning workshop. That will be on the agenda here later today as well. Justice Center. So, and attended the Memorial Day celebration in Silver Cliff yesterday. Other than the 50-mile-an-hour breeze, it was a very fine day. So
that was commendable of the American Legion to stand there and not miss a beat, with the speeches blowing out of their hands, flags laying over. It was amazing, and it was very respectful, and it couldn't have been better.
And I might say, I believe Reggie is, am I mistaken, is today your last day?
Today's my last day. My actual last day will be on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So we still got time.
So I would like to extend my thank you to you though, for the job that you have done, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Smith, do you have anything for us this morning?
Well, excuse me, I participated in the last regular BOCC meeting, the one on May 18th that was held at the airport, and I participated by Zoom. I was also, I participated in the public hearing on May 27 for consideration of the recommendation of the Planning Commission concerning amendments to the zoning resolution. And other than that, I haven't really done anything else recently to report on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Dorothy, do you have anything?
I don't, not today.
Guys, I defaulted back to Kelly. I was looking at her there for a second.
You can ask her too. If you want.
You guys, do you have anything for us?
No,
Kelly? You guys are gonna have to switch chairs if I keep mixing you up here today. Okay, that brings us to public comment. If anyone here or online has anything they would like to address that is not on the agenda. And the IEC is on the agenda now, so I will take care of that when that comes up, so. Yeah.
I'd like to ask when the website will get updated. The county website. One, it's god awful, but also if we look at the current website, it's still showing a stage 2 fire ban. And I would like to recommend where you have COVID so prominent on the website, that's where the fire information should be. Someone was confused whether we had what the status of the fire ban was. You can't rely on social media as the news outlet. and they went to the county website and it shows a stage 2 fire ban. So you might want to get that up to date. And then also, the emails that are not live on the website are recycling, public health, treasurer, coroner, clerk and recorder, and assessor. All those emails are not live, meaning you can't click on it and go to an email. And then also you're still showing Shannon Byerly as the sheriff. So I'm just saying that the ugly website needs to be updated, but more than that, I believe there is work happening for a new website, but I'm not quite sure why it's taking so long.
It is a process,
Yes, I know it is a process.
but we will address.
We are.
I think
those
the
issues.
fire ban thing is a very important item to have front and center on the county website.
Can I say something? So were you looking at it on your phone?
No, I was looking on my computer.
Oh, because I was on it Thursday and the sheriff was updated.
Huh, I just went on it last night.
The sheriff's page is also not updated. And I sent it.
Yeah, but, and then, like I said, there's a bunch of emails that are listed, but none of them are live. That's it.
All righty, thank you. And it does, I just pulled it up, it does show stage 2 fire ban at the top corner, so we'll address that and check those others out too.
Yeah, and like I said, COVID is so prominent, but yet, that's kind of fading away. And I think the fire information is critical.
Yeah, in fact, the Board of Health did address that in the meeting as well, because it is changed. COVID's not the highlight anymore. And in fact, our next Board of Health meeting has been rescheduled for the following month. So, but this is being updated, and you bring up good points that, because we do need it, it's happening.
You don't want people to be confused.
Right. So thanks.
Yes, sir,
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
you may.
First of all, I'd like to make a complaint. I don't have a pad on my chair
You did
like
take the
everyone
straps off to
else.
hold your arms down.
Oh, I
Somebody was
see.
referring to it as an electric chair the other day, so.
Is that right? Is electricity shut off now? I hope. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioners, to allow me to speak. I'm very concerned about the issue with Mr. Flower, and I would like to address that at this time.
I will let you do that as soon as we get to that on our agenda now, since we did put it on the agenda. So at this time, the public comment will be for anything that's not on the agenda.
Okay,
You may speak and bring it up. That's as soon as our public comment is done, basically, we will be moving there, so.
okay, thanks very kind.
Is there anything else on public comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this is County Attorney Clint Smith. I guess I wasn't aware about that addition to the agenda of consideration of the Independent Ethics Commission ruling. I participated in that case representing Commissioner Flower. I guess the question I've got as a preliminary question is, when you label an agenda item consideration, that means you're considering something as a possible action item. And I'm wondering what sort of action is being contemplated here. Because it's not, well, I guess I would like to know, first of all, what sort of action is being contemplated, what this board is thinking about ruling upon or making a motion upon.
I believe the motion was to address it, not a consideration of. Basically, we had a lot of public input and about that, and wanted to address it during this meeting, but not as a consideration of taking any action.
But I've written
Thank
down-
you for that clarification. Thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to point out that the action of the Independent Ethics Commission was its decision, and the Board of County Commissioners doesn't have any authority under the powers, statutory powers given to it to take any further action. An ethics violation, it falls under the jurisdiction of the Independent Ethics Commission, and a penalty was imposed in that matter, monetary penalty. So I think it's on the agenda then just for the public to talk about it.
Correct.
That's correct, Clint, this bill. And that's what we stated up front. Because of the findings and the public interest and the ability to comment on it, there's no, except that in my view, it's important for the Board of Commissioners to acknowledge it publicly that it is in effect that that was a finding, and that we then are obligated to leave it up to the people to deal with it with Commissioner Flower in the way they see fit. Either it's Tom or the people dealing with it, not a board action.
All right, and my only response to that is there is no statutory obligation for the Board of County Commissioners to acknowledge a ruling of the Independent Ethics Commission. It wasn't done in the previous ethics violation, which was resolved in favor of another county employee. But I mean, if the county wants to acknowledge it, that's your choice, but it's not something that is required by law.
No, that's what I said. It's exactly the case. From a personal point of view, my own personal point of view as a commissioner, I wanted to make a public acknowledgement that I understand it, and we do have ethics standards that we must uphold, period.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay, that will take us then to unfinished business. I do not have any.
None here.
Okay, that brings us to our new business, and the first item will be the discussion of the Independent Ethics Commission ruling. I'll let you take your chair again, Bob.
Go,
Sorry
Bob.
about that. I did
Okay, still no pad, I guess. Huh?
no pad yet. I haven't had time to get one for you.
Okay, thank you very kindly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members, commissioners. I'm here today to chat a little bit about an issue that has been very concerning of mine, as well as others through time. As a former county commissioner sitting in your chair, I felt as though I had to do something and let my thoughts be heard publicly. So what I have done is this. I have gone ahead and taken a look at some of the items that I had collected here during the last 2 years since this ethics issue has surfaced. And what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, some of the issues that I'm going to be talking about were in the newspaper, and I have made copies for the board. If I could pass those out.
You may.
Thank you. I guess I should have done yours first. Huh?
No, go ahead.
Welcome. I would also like to make clear at this point that I am talking on my own. I am not representing any other entity in this community. So it's solely my opinions. And I want to make that clear. It's not that I don't agree or disagree, but I just wanted it to come from me. If you take a look
at the timing, and I hope I have these in the right order. The first issue that I was concerned with was citizens file an ethics committee with the IEC against Commissioner Flower. With that, I have passed out that document to each one of you, and it has to do with the ethics issue. The ethics issue is extremely important, and I was personally happy to see that it didn't have to come from people from this community, with the exception of the complaint, and the decision was made by the IEC. And I fully understand what the legal counsel has just mentioned, that this board does not have a position where they can take any action regarding that IEC ruling. With that in mind, on December 10th of 2021, there was another article in one of the local newspapers that said Flower accused of deplorable behavior and improper influencing. Shameless refuses to resign. And it's my understanding that Mr. Flower, Tom, you were asked to resign, but you chose in your mind not to do that. I have given you a copy of another article that was published on October 9th. And once again, it was a open meeting law regarding Mr. Flower and Mr. Prince with an update on an ethics complaint. So that article I'd like to also put into the minutes. And then there's one here that says Flower has created a hostile work environment and destroyed morale of county employees. I know from my business background and what I do on a day-to-day basis, I do a lot with the county. I have for, I hate to admit it, but for the last 50 years, come to various departments in the courthouse, and I've always had just an excellent rapport with them, and also very, very cooperative. And I've had a number of issues that have been brought to me by people that are in my industry, and I'm in the real estate industry, and from out of the community, and they have always commented how well they were treated by the personnel of this county courthouse. Now, things have changed a little bit. And, there's people here in the courthouse that feel that this has created a hostile environment by Commissioner Tom Flower. He has gone beyond his authority, I believe, and has contacted people within the courthouse. And basically, in some cases, not all cases, some cases, telling people how to run their agency or their department. And these people are elected officials. They are the ones that are in charge of their, if it's county treasurer, assessor, clerk, whatever, those people are in charge of their departments to run those departments the best they can. And they have been elected by the people of Custer County. With that in mind, the Jackie Hobby issue jumps up quite often in many discussions. And I feel for Jackie, what she's had to go through. Unfortunately, I believe I noticed that she's maybe putting in her resignation by the end of August,
Yes.
September? I can't
And-
remember,
and I
but
might, I
when-
might comment as well, that's been covered. If we could stay with the ethics, independent ethics, that would be great.
okay, thank you. I will. And that'll bring me to the next one, the Ethics Committee violations. I think we've all seen that in the newspaper or online or in some other fashion. And with that in mind, I also want to make a disclosure to this board that I have, because of my concern, I have taken the packet that I've given to each of you. I have taken it to two other organizations that that Mr. Flower does represent. I did take it to the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District manager. I have taken it to the Sangre de Cristo Electric Association to make them aware of the findings and the concerns of the people of this community. So with that in mind, I would like to ask Mr. Flower if he would give consideration to resigning the position of Custer County Commissioner. So that is my reason for being here today. Some of the areas of my concern. And along with that, I'd also like to point out that the Custer County Republican Central Committee has written a letter back in 3-4 years ago. I'm looking for the date, May 2nd of 2017, regarding the issues of a member or members of this commission, Board of Commissioners. I'm also aware of a document that was recorded in the county clerk's office regarding the do's and don'ts and the professionalism, et cetera, the public trust. Issue was recorded under document recordation number 245211, dated 4/7 of 22, signed by all three of the commissioners that are presently seated here today. In reading that, I believe there are some issues that jump out, public trust, et cetera. And Tom, this is something that you also have signed. And I would also ask that you may want to give that some consideration as well in your decision. I'm going to leave it at that point. If there's any questions from the board, I would be happy to answer them if possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
None here. Right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
None?
No, thank you, sir.
Tom? Okay, thank you very kindly, gentlemen.
Public comment. Go ahead and restate your name, please.
Eugene Ferrero.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I am a resident of this county for approximately 1.5 years. My background includes corporate investigations, ethics, and compliance. Over 30 years, I dealt with issues internal to organizations, public and private, relative to ethical and unethical behavior. I am also a friend of a number of people in this room, including Jimmy McMahon, and I'm one of the 3 people in this room that attended the ethics hearing. And I wish to express my disappointment in Mr. Cantor's behavior and testimony.
Mr. Flower.
Not
Mr.
me.
Flower. I'm sorry.
Wrong guy.
Right, sorry, my apologies. I was disappointed in his testimony. He attempted to persuade the Ethics Committee to believe that the 3 recipients of the back pay that they deserved was distributed equally. He was quickly corrected in his claim, and it was pointed out by the chairman of the commission that in fact his wife was the majority beneficiary. In fact, she received 2/3 of the amount of money, and the remaining 1/3 was shared among the other 2 county employees. It was very disappointing to me to see a person of this caliber and responsibility to behave in that fashion. I think it was intentional to dissuade or influence the outcome of the Ethics Commission. And I wish that this commission seriously consider accepting his resignation.
Thank you.
Any questions?
None here. Thank you. Anyone else?
Jim McMahon, Custer County resident. The character of Mr. Flower, I believe, has changed dramatically since I've known him. I didn't have any warning about this meeting. Not prepared to really go over a lot of stuff. Busy working. It's just grievous to see a person that was elected act in this behavior. I think it's time for Tom to look at himself and evaluate if he really is a good servant for this community. And if he's more of a problem than he is a solution. And I would sincerely ask him to remove himself from his position. I don't know if he's got internal problems. I don't know if he's got overwhelmed by the COVID thing. He did mention to me that Colorado is a Democratic state and that Custer County's part of that real estate and that I better get used to it. I'm not going to get too used to that, not with what's going on in the big picture of things. My public trust has been completely violated by him, in my opinion. I believe he's taken stands and representing things that are not in line with the oath that he's taken. I'd just like to see him peacefully remove himself and allow somebody that maybe have the health and concern of this community and let us get on the way of being healed, as opposed to all this lack of transparency and overreach. I think anybody that holds a commissioner's position in this day and age needs to be 100% upright and don't ever hide something or go along with something to get along. It's not what our country needs or this county needs. We need people that are going to stand up for what's right and what's wrong in the oath that they've taken. And I'm concerned with the future. And if Mr. Flowers stays in some kind of decision-making position, that could very well jeopardize our well-being as a community. So I'd respectfully ask Mr. Flower to vacate his position and allow somebody else that may be healthier and a little bit more upright to take his place.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Peggy Collins, resident of the county. As I've said before in public meetings, I was one of the people who urged or at least encouraged Tom to act as or to run for commissioner. he's not the same person he was back then. For a number of reasons. I concur with Jimmy McMahon that he's not healthy. He's toxic for this county and he needs to resign. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to take a moment here. We three were sent a letter. And I was asked to read this letter so that it went into the official record as well. Dated May 31, 2022. Commissioner Flower, as a former county commissioner myself, I was shocked to read the findings of the Ethics Commission in regard to your conduct. As we take an oath to serve our community as commissioners, we are charged first and foremost to do the right thing. Do the right thing by God, act with honesty and integrity. Do the right thing by the Constitution, follow the law. Do not set ourselves above the law or show favoritism. Do the right thing by the citizens of the county that put their trust in us. Treat employees and the public with dignity and respect. In order to accomplish these directives, we must be guided by an inner compass that recognizes right from wrong. I can't imagine how, if you hold to any of these tenets, this debacle with the overtime pay to your wife even happened. Did it not occur to you that you had a conflict of interest? Did it not occur to you that you should recuse yourself from discussion and voting on this issue from which your family would benefit monetarily? You are consistently citing doing your due diligence. What happened here? Did due diligence not suit your desired outcome? You seem to feel free to make the opportunity of due diligence. You seemed to feel free to take the opportunity of due diligence away from the other commissioners. My observation is that your standard of conduct is to push forth your agenda, no matter the law, no matter who you trample on to get your way. This was such a blatant violation of basic ethics that you should have known better and acted accordingly. I have watched you badger Jackie Hobby be censured for a time, then go right back to your old ways. I don't believe that these are isolated incidences. This problem is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Two obvious instances where you got caught, acted contrite, and oh so sorry. Until the next time. In my opinion, you lack that inner moral compass that should guide you to be a good servant of the people. You call on the law when it suits you. You strong arm your way to get the outcome you set your sights on. You fail to act honestly and with integrity. I do not believe that you are well suited to be an elected leader in this community and hereby request your resignation. Please save the county the upheaval of a recall, which is surely forthcoming. Do the right thing and resign. Signed, Carol Byinger, Custer County citizen, former Teller County Commissioner. And I was asked to read that into the record, and I will take any further comment that we have here now.
Twyla Drew. I just want to hear what you have to say, Tom.
I would say that this is public comment. It
Yeah,
is
what
not,
is
it
public
is not a back and forth though. I'm not gonna go there today. Thank you though.
We never get to hear what he has to say. We didn't in the
And
last
that
two
is-
meetings. I-
That is his purview. This is public comment. It's an opportunity for you to voice your opinion, but not for a back and forth. I'm sorry,
Lucky.
Peggy.
Peggy Collins, I have two questions. Number one, has he reimbursed the county for the fine? Number two, is he going to reimburse the county for the county attorney's time?
I will, again, thank you for your questions, but that will be, that is information that you can garner outside of this meeting. Okay,
I'd like to say one.
make it brief.
I would really like to have the ethics violation, the whole report in the minutes of this, if that would be permissible.
I think we do have a copy of that.
Okay, so we need to really look at what they said. I don't want to sit here and go over all the grossness that took place. But if that could be part of this, why we're here, would be very valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, I would like to thank all of you for your time that you took to come and
Hold on a second.
Okay.
You and I probably ought to talk here. I want to make a statement too. First of all, I want to thank the citizens for their concerns and bringing it forward. Secondly, it is important to understand that the county is not liable for the fine. We do not pay the fine. And I was advised by just to make sure that was pointed out. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring out, period. And the second thing I'd like to point out is ethic behavior is part of the fiber of a public servant. I've been one for 30 years, military and on corporate level as well, and within this county. I was the one that actually, in the investigations of the things that Mr. Senderhoff had brought up, previous activities, had been advised that there was a orientation briefing that actually had the sworn duties, obligations, responsibilities, and standards for new commissioners. It was an orientation briefing by CTSI to make sure that new commissioners understood their boundaries and what the possible consequences could be, mainly because of the insurance issues and the liability that a commissioner or an elected official can bring upon the county citizens to have to end up paying at some point, because we all pay the county the fund for that insurance. So on April the 6th, that was what was referred to, and I don't know what, Bob, you must have found it, but it was a resolution that we adopted that exact package, and in effect, it became, we all three had signed it, the ethical behavior. And it commits, the BOCC commits itself to ethical, businesslike, and lawful conduct, including proper use of authority and appropriate decorum when acting as a BOCC. This document goes on, and I want to make sure it is part of the minutes of this meeting as well, because it's important, as we did sign it. And in fact, it cites the same standards, kind of the revision of the Colorado state statutes for the BOCC, and there's many people that probably haven't heard it, and I'm going to read part of it because it's important for the record, and then the public record to understand. It starts off with a paragraph very important. It says each commissioner must have the loyalty to the entire ownership, unconflicted by loyalties to staff, other organizations, including interest or advocacy groups, citizens of the commissioner's district, membership of the BOCC boards, committees, and commissions, and any personal interest as a consumer. So that's the broad coverage of the things that we sign up to when we swear with the oath to the Constitution. It's not been, we always say that it's in the Constitution of the state of Colorado, it's in the Constitution of the United States, and you behave toward that. And you have the honor, integrity, and loyalty to conduct yourself properly. No commissioner shall engage in substantial financial transactions or in a private business for purposes with a person the commissioner inspects and supervises, and of course official duties. No commissioner shall perform an official act that directly substantially benefits the business or undertaking in which he or she either is a substantial financial interest or is engaged as counsel's consultant, representative, or agent. The commissioner who has a personal or private interest in a matter proposed or pending before the county shall disclose such interest to the BOCC and to the public when and if appropriate, and shall not vote thereon, and shall refrain from attempting to influence in any manner the decisions of any members of the BOCC. Each commissioner will meet with the county attorney annually to discuss potential conflicts of interest. If the determination is made that a potential conflict of interest exists, where the appearance of a conflict may exist, disclosure shall be made in accordance with the state law and board policy. The commissioner should perform an official act that directly or substantially affects the business or other undertaking to its economic detriment when he or she has a business, or other undertaking to its economic detriment when he or she has a substantial financial interest in competing with the firm or undertaking. Commissioners shall not exercise individual authority over the organization, which we all recognize it takes a board action. The commissioner's interaction and staff must recognize the lack of authority vested in individuals. We went through that. And it ends with this. And we signed up to all this. The commissioners, with respect and support to the legitimacy and authority of all BOCC decisions, will respect the decisions regardless of the commissioner's personal position on a matter. In the event a commissioner is suspected of violation of the policy, the BOCC will seek to resolve the matter expeditiously. If a commissioner suspects a violation of the board policy by another commissioner, he or she shall bring the matter to the attention of the individual in the BOCC. That's where I was referring to earlier. It is our responsibility to take and understand that we recognize that as an occurrence, which we did, and we have done so now. And it has been brought to the attention. However, the board has no other, as our attorney points out, as we all pointed out, we have no authority to do anything else but make sure it's publicly acknowledged, which is done. And that we respect that, and then it leaves it up to the resolution by the citizens of this county with Mr. Flower, with our Commissioner Flower, and in any way that is best for the county, and hopefully resolves it expeditiously. And so that's why that's all we can do. We appreciate your participation and acknowledgement of the issues. And all we can do now is, you all are the citizens. Tom is working for you, and it is an issue. And as I mentioned, the penalty is not our responsibility as a county. It's Mr. Flower's private the responsibility to pay that fine. And I don't know anything about whether you can require the attorney. Was represented, he's on a salary. I don't think that's probably appropriate. So, Bob.
Just for the record, you were wondering where I got the document. I did submit that, and it is recorded. That's
Yeah.
why.
We did record it, and that's right. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Thank you.
Mr. Flower?
Everybody done?
Okay. Again, I would like to thank you guys for your participation here today. And thank you for coming in. And
If you want to stay, you can.
Oh, yeah.
You got the library next.
So we're actually looking for some.
Hey, Bill, is that resolution on the website?
Which resolution?
The one that you just read, that you said.
It's been filed with the clerk, and it's a resolution that we adopted. And it is, as far as I know, it's available to the public, like any other resolution.
Okay, but
And our intent is to actually put this on the bulletin board. That's the intent of the meeting. That meeting occurred on April the 6th, I think it was.
it may or may not be. I don't know if it's on the website.
yeah, it
To
might
your
be out of
question.
date. Yeah.
It was April the 6th, 9 o'clock meeting on Wednesday, April the 6th, and we passed that resolution. And when we discussed it, we said it is in effect a code of ethics that and processes that we mentioned. And it should be given to every office to have in there as an elected official, because it affects everybody. And on the bulletin boards and in the websites. So that's something that we need to follow up on. Thank you.
I take it as a follow-up to my thing
Sure,
about
same,
bringing up the
yeah.
code of ethics. So good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is a consideration as the AP and the out of cycle. Right on cue.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
All right, how are you doing?
We rested after a weekend.
Mr. Choir Director, you did a fine job.
Well, thank you. I
Told
appreciate
your
it.
mom that you handled her well.
Yeah. We tried, our voices were easy to be carried with the wind, so.
And it waved in the wind.
Yeah. All right. I have the reports open. Any questions?
When would you like to start with?
Well, let's well start with accounts payable.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the accounts payable as presented.
I'll say.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the accounts payable. Any discussion, gentlemen?
I believe, but I will wait. That's what I have.
I think you got all the current out of cycle things. Braden, I think, Brand, the Dorothy, you got the latest stuff from travel and all that was done currently
Yes, sir.
before.
I believe so, yes.
That was the night of that.
I believe so. Yeah.
But this accounts payable, not out of cycle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It should all have been in cycle.
Yeah, the accounts payable. I didn't have an issue.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I have a couple questions from them. Mr.
You may.
Chairman. Page 12, I see we had some significant expenses for Custer County Kids Council. I realize these are pass-through dollars from grants. I just was not aware, and I have not attended the Kids Council meetings. Mr. Dave, were you able to do that? Looked like we had $7,000 or $8,000 for a family fun night.
I have not been in attendance the last 2 months anyway, so.
Not sure it's more than that. 12,000 looks like. So I just was looking for some input on that event, or do you know anything about that?
And not specifically about the event, besides the fact that I know that it happened. I do know there's also been an increase in grant dollars that they have received, and they're trying to get expended by their fiscal year.
Yeah.
So that's why I know there's been a flux there, but I can't speak to the
Okay.
specificities of it.
I haven't had a chance to look at these and contact Kids Council, so I
Sure.
was just looking for some direction there.
Yeah. And that's my apologies on,
Yeah.
it's been a lot this month for some reason.
And then page 17. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, yeah, there it is. First line. Well, my display was, yeah, I showed the top of page 17. Yeah, I never got any page breaks in my document, so it was other than the page numbering. The rental for the crane to set for, I have no idea what that was for.
What page was that, Tom?
17. And I don't recognize these account or department numbers, so I. don't
Duffy
know,
Crane is on.
Yes,
What
definitely.
that was in reference to, just looking for some clarification.
Was that for the Bailey?
Fuel tank for.
Fuel
silver.
tank, that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's lost my thought. I know we've had a
Yeah, I
couple
knew that.
grants
Shoot,
here
I
recently.
had that written down. I didn't see it in my notes.
Anything else, sir?
Is there, this is a little different format.
It is, yeah.
So again, didn't have a lot of chance to review that, so I might ask, is there a way you could list out these funds? Fund 55, unless I commit that to memory, I wouldn't,
Mhm.
other than by association of looking at the
Yep.
accounts payable.
Want me to just state those?
I'm just, yeah, where it says 55, can you put in parentheses what fund that is, or, you know?
Well, moving forward, there was a lot of catch up to do. So normally it would be that report that does have everything spelled out. And that will be the case moving forward
Okay.
as well. That can only be done before all the checks are printed. And there were some checks that came in late, but in between. So in order to get them all on that one report, that was the report that had to happen there.
So that'll always happen then, because there'll always potentially be an out of cycle request. right?
Well, yes, but we'll keep that to the out of cycle. So this time there were some that ended up on today's date.
I get it. But you elected because of that circumstance. I'm just wondering what would keep you from pushing everything to the out of cycle side and why you had to combine it this time.
One, because I didn't realize we couldn't do the report
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
All right. All right,
So
well, so you're learning the system.
found
That's
that-
fair enough. I
found
just-
that one out, but yeah,
just didn't want, I didn't want to leave you with the expectation it's going to be different next time. But
Yep.
it really wasn't going to be.
yeah. Otherwise, there was, there's a forfeiture for retirement to the tune of $8,000 that requires a negative invoice being put in. That has to be done after payroll in order for books to line up. And the forfeiture, just to explain that, is when people leave working for the county, whatever money they're not vested, we get that money back. And so then we get to use that towards retirement. So that's the reason for that happening on today's date, is I wanted to make sure we got that negative invoice in there, because we can't just process a negative invoice without a positive that equals at least that or greater. That's the technical side. But beyond that, that shouldn't be an issue, and I'll know to do it beforehand.
Okay,
next time.
cool.
Yeah, so in this particular case on page 17, and this is my point, I'm left to assume that Fund 50 is capital outlay.
Correct, capital improvement. Yeah, if there are any other questions, I can go through those fund numbers or department numbers.
So you're saying they won't, you can't list those on here.
They were listed on the first one. They will be listed. That will be the report that we would normally use.
Okay.
If we need a new, if you're saying for this specific report for this month to add those.
No,
After
I'm
the
not.
fact,
I'm
okay.
asking moving forward.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I understood Commissioner Cannon to say nothing would be different in the future.
Yeah, no, we'll go back to the old. group.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I
So I
would
have
have
Mr.
a
Chair.
question on there. If this was to happen where you had things that had to happen this particular day, would it be? I know the payroll we need to have in front of us today, but when you come in for your other report on accounts payable, is that something we have to have today, or would it be better for your office if we actually take that when you come and meet with us the first of the month?
As a rule moving forward, or?
Yeah, that way you wouldn't run into this particular issue.
No, I don't think this will happen again. I think knowing how the report works now, that shouldn't be a problem in the future. Worst case scenario, we would just use that as an out of cycle. at retirement, and it would be on a different date, and so then it would keep it separate, and our original report wouldn't need to be changed.
Anything else, sir? Sirs?
For me.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to accept the accounts payable. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Just a quick follow-up question there, Kelly. I know with this being a different format, did you need any different numbers or calculations there?
No. Because of how everything changed, I sort of changed mine on that too, so I'm good. Thanks.
Hey, sir, you want to do payroll or out of cycle?
Payroll's just information, so we can do out of cycle.
Anything you're thinking we need to know about, Braden?
I don't think so. We've kind of got those normal utilities that they just won't budge on their dates. Another one that's added this go around would be AT&T, which we're now finding out that they're not honoring when we're sending those. And so they're giving us late fees for even sending them at this point in the month. So we're going ahead and running them out of cycle where needed in order to make sure that we avoid those late fees. And as soon as we can get rid of CenturyLink and AT&T, my department will be much happier. So
And then I see Road and Bridge got their Vermeer chipper.
Road and Bridge got their chipper, and Public Health purchased a truck. It was partially funded by ARPA dollars. The rest of it was funded by grant dollars that should be being received, I believe.
Thank you so much.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You brought up a point that I had a question about here on page 2. Again, I don't like operating under assumptions. Mr. Day may know more about this than I do. We do know for a fact that Road and Bridge paid for the chipper. Do we know for a fact that we have it?
Yes. Wetmore was the first ones to use it right after the snowstorm. And the word that I got from Kurt was it worked very well.
Is it going to be housed up here or down there, or do you know?
It is up here. I guess this is a little off subject, but I might throw it out since we're on the chipper. I was hoping to have somewhat of a little community chipping event to take place for mitigation and things of that nature and what more. Probably should bring it at a regular meeting for your gentleman's approval. Because it is.
Like bring your slash to address
Yeah,
X
like
and
say
get rid
if
of
we
it.
had them file it at the community building, we've done that in the past. Kind of for the fire mitigation and flood mitigation stuff. And then the county at that time would burn it. But with the chipper now, we can come in and chip it. It would probably require either a couple of county guys during the regular work week or possibly an overtime day if they did it on Friday or Saturday
Something to
Or
think about.
volunteer?
or volunteer.
And then one other question, Mr. Chairman. So the Pueblo Dodge amount, was that the full price, or did that include the 10,000 from the ARPA dollars?
Yeah, that's the full price.
That's all I have.
Anything from you, sir?
None more. Good.
Did we get a motion on the floor or not?
I would move that we accept the out of cycle report.
I second.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay, those in favor of accepting the out of cycle report signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate that.
See you towards the end of the meeting.
I know you'll be back.
Oh, yes, you will, huh? Thanks, Brady. Okay, we now have consideration of the West Custer County Library annual report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Good, thank you.
You can sit.
Figured we'd just
Share the chair.
Stand there.
Yeah, sure, we can
Chair,
both
we
sit
could
in it.
just stand.
I'll shake in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long
Thank you.
stretch here.
Thank
All
you.
of a
Nice to
sudden.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Meet you too.
And can you guys tell me your names again?
Yeah, I'm Janet Rhodes. I'm the co-director, one of the co-directors at
Rhodes with an H?
RHODES.
Oh, D, okay. And Jenna copies.
Just a little louder, please. Your name again.
Jenna Calkins.
Got it.
I was the interim director most of last year after Sean left. And then January of this year, the board and I decided to move to a co-director system and hired Janet to serve in that position. So the two of us are sharing the director role. I'm officially the collections co-director and Janet is the administrative co-director. So we are both here to present the annual report for last year and answer any questions you might have.
And I think they have copies.
Yes.
You already have copies, but
Can I have a copy? Do you have-
Here.
I need a copy for my minutes. Maybe one at the end.
okay.
We can sure make room if you guys like to sit down. We can move that chair and you can sit there if you want. I just hate for it to have to stand.
I've actually been sitting for a couple hours. It feels pretty good. So thank
Well,
you.
you
very
got
much.
here early.
My humble apologies.
I got here early, so yeah, no, if you don't, I would prefer standing if I don't need to make you feel
Not at
uncomfortable.
all. Just want you to be comfortable. Thank you.
All right, so this report is for 2021. So just kind of some basic statistics on how we were serving the community over the last year. So that first chart is our number of library card holders. And there was a pretty big drop from 2020 to 2021. This is mostly due to the pandemic situation that really hurt a lot of our stats. So this number doesn't include people who haven't used their cards in a few years. So we've had a lot of patrons who dropped out of our system because they stopped using the library during the pandemic. So we're expecting to see a pretty big jump in that in 2022. So hopefully we have some better numbers for you in next year's report. Our collections, that's pretty
Can I
straightforward.
just add one quick thing in there? I just wanted to point out, though, there's over 2,300 households listed according to the census in Custer County. Of those, we have almost 2,300 cards. So there's a pretty good ratio of cards to resident households in Custer County.
So does the family just get one card then?
No,
So
I
it could
mean,
be-
it could be, yeah, it
Okay.
could be multiple cards in one family, but just across the board, it looks pretty good.
Good.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Interrupt as you see fit. So our collections, these numbers are pretty consistent just because of the size of the library. These aren't going to change a whole lot from year to year. So I think that's all pretty self-explanatory. On the second page, we have our circulation statistics. So you'll see these numbers are a little more positive. We did see a pretty big increase from 2020 to 2021. A lot of that is due to our closures because of the pandemic in 2020. So we did, of course, see a huge decrease in circulation. So we're starting to see those numbers come back up, and you'll see our circulation of children's materials is the highest we've seen in years, which is really exciting to see. Our community. And something we want to point out this is from last year, but for this year, we are going to be open on Mondays for the first time over the summer. So we're really excited to offer that service to the community. So I guess next Monday will be our first Monday being open for the summer season. And that's our usual hours of 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So we hope
Quick comment, if I may.
Mhm.
I just noticed this morning when I was looking at these documents, your charts are relative, but they don't line up with your.
Oh, yeah, the 40, it says
X-graph,
40,000, and
yeah,
it
you're
says
off by about
50,000, and there you go,
10,000.
thank you.
If you distribute that, you might want to.
Yeah, we would definitely
Yeah.
want to fix that.
I understood exactly what you were saying here with your chart, but I just thought,
Yeah, no, we caught that one.
Oh, I wonder. I think maybe it's measuring the total amount.
oh, okay, I thought the total was 40,000, 45 in 2018, but maybe not.
Yeah,
I didn't add that
looks
all
like.
together, so
Yeah.
you're probably right.
Yeah, so it has, so
Okay.
the color,
Yeah,
and then,
yeah, with those numbers in black at the top, I assumed that was the total, but
yeah,
Well,
that
it would
is
be.
very confusing. So regardless,
We'll fix that one.
for clarity, that should be
The black
changed.
numbers are for the yellow block, and the red numbers go with the
Right.
red block, so.
Yeah, that is
So you do have to add all
Yeah.
two.
not very clear there, so.
yeah, it looked like
It makes them
the
all come
gold
together.
was for total
And
circulation,
you
right?
can't see the color really.
So there's 3 categories there that make that up.
Yeah,
Total
yeah, you
circulation,
can see it.
e-books and children's books. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm,
Yeah, you can see it there.
Yeah. We'll maybe try a different table format for that one next year. Something that's a little
Make a pie
easier to
shape.
comprehend.
Yeah,
Yeah. So.
Anyway, it's
Okay.
doing a lot.
And you guys continue to check out the state park passes, huh?
we do.
Yes, yep.
Is that a 2 or 3 days?
It's a 10-day checkout.
10 days? Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know.
those are very popular, so. we're
As
glad
are
to
the
be
zoo
able to
passes.
offer those.
Yeah, I would think. I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah.
do you charge anything for those
No,
zoo
it's
passes?
just.
Everything we offer
everything
is free.
Pueblo Zoo or?
Yes,
Mhm.
Pueblo Zoo.
Because Cheyenne Mountain Zoo is becoming rapidly unaffordable to a lot of people, $30 a person.
They are not affordable for the library either. We looked into that. We were hoping to get passes, but
Brutal.
they don't give us much of a cut for being a public institution, unfortunately, so.
How many of the backpacks do you have for the public land?
So we have 2 state parks passes, and those are provided to us by the state every year, and then 2 of the zoo passes, so.
And the
I think-
zoo passes are good for a family of, it's 2 adults and 2 kids, isn't it? For
I think
each zoo
it's
pass?
more than 2 kids. It might be, I think it's like 5 kids,
Okay,
5 kids and
Yeah.
2 adults for one pass.
and we have 2
so.
packs with each, in each of them. They have that,
And of course, the state parks pass is the whole vehicle, so.
right?
So want to mention on that?
No, we're really excited about our Monday openings. That's been apparently a wish of our trustees for many years that we could do that, so.
And our patrons.
And our
so.
patrons, yes.
All right, so the last page there, just a quick overview of our number of events that we had last year and attendance to programs. Of course, we did see pretty good jump from 2020 to 2021. Again, of course, because we were closed a lot of 2020. And even when we were open, we had very few programs. And so still not great numbers, but we're continuing to see an increase through 2022 of now that we're, back in full swing on the programming and seeing a lot better attendance. And we're kicking off a summer reading program here this week. This Friday is the kickoff party. So we're hoping to see good attendance from the youth of the community for the summer reading program.
And I just wanted to highlight a couple of the programs that I'm really proud of, but they're just one of many. One is our virtual legal clinics. Actually, I wanted to pass these each out to you. This is from 2021. Okay, we can do it that way. It's, we had, this is just from last year. We had 12 clinics, 32 patrons. Now there's 19 slots per month shared over all of the public libraries in the state. So we have been using it quite a bit here. We had for 12 clinics in 2021. Again, we had on the average of, what was it, 4 clients? I'm having a problem with my math this morning. I'm a librarian, not a mathematician. So, but we have steady use of this free legal clinic that is offered through the Bar Association, the Colorado State Bar Association. And this is how it breaks down. Those are the questions: is probate, domestic, civil, and property. And it's explained out on your chart how that, so they're free 15-minute appointments with an attorney. And it's a free appointment monthly. We always have a wait list for people on that.
Is this virtual or live?
It's virtual. Because the attorneys are all over the state. So,
It used to be done over Zoom at the actual library, and then during the pandemic, they moved to doing phone calls, and they have stuck with that system, so people participating can have a phone call in the privacy of their own home, as opposed to having to come to the library to participate, so.
Makes sense.
just a couple of other programs. You might have heard about the DMV to go is coming up monthly. The DMV is partnering with the library to come up to do a daily, a whole day in the library for people who have DMV needs that can't be serviced up here. So driver's license, government ID, those are, what else? Anything that you'd have to go down to Fremont County for or anywhere else. We can now do up at the library third Thursday of the month. So that's.
So they do testing and issuing of.
They
driver's
don't, they
licenses?
do issuing, they do not do testing. The only thing they don't do is testing. So I just wanted to point out for the summer reading, one of their many events, there's a kickoff at the pool this Friday. A Salida Circus is coming up. That's one of they're coming up to do an event. That's one of them, of many. I think there's
We're gonna have
one a week.
dramas, we're going to Great Creek,
Yeah,
some sort of
yeah.
biology
Good.
thing.
So that's just part of the summer reading. And then I just wanted to say thank you. With the ARPA grant that came through here, that's going to refresh, that is replace all of our very, very old computers. Our computer equipment and network equipment is 7 to 10 years old. It was put in by a former staffer. It's melting down as we speak. We have a couple Band-Aids on it. We're about to replace the network, but that's the ARPA grant is going to that.
Great.
So, but that is a huge piece of what we do is our free public computers and free internet is enormous, especially for people coming up in the summertime, working remotely, while their family's on vacation. We're kind of the business center. So I just wanted to point those things out.
Well, I move we accept their report with thanks and good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second. Any other discussion on that?
No, look good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, those in favor of accepting the West Custer County Library annual report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now you're up again.
We are part 2 here.
Part 2.
Yes, so our trustee Allison Graber left the board early in the year. So we've been looking for a new board member to fill that slot and had an interview. Was that just last week?
It was just last week, yeah.
With
Christopher
Esty, and him and his wife are relatively new to the community, but very excited to be involved, to be getting out and getting to know more people and seeing how they can serve the community. And so he was very interested in the
You're
position.
lucky you only had one applicant then. Is that right? Lucky he was a good one.
Yes, he was a great applicant. We were very impressed with his interview, and the board voted to
Offer
offer him the position, which he accepted. So we are hoping to have you all ratify him as our latest trustee.
Yeah, I would move to ratify Mr. Christopher Estee as the new trustee for the library.
Okay, I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor to ratify Christopher Estee as the new board of trustees member. Any other discussion?
It's a 1-year appointment.
three.
Three.
Yeah, the terms run for 3 years.
He'll be completing Allison's term.
Oh.
So,
Through 2023.
No, I've got it. I just couldn't remember if it was a 1 or 3 year. So,
Okay, those in favor of ratifying Christopher Estee as the new board of trustees member through December 31, 2023, signify by saying aye.
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 Is it Christopher with a CH
Yes.
and ESTEY?
I'll let you-
That's Kelly,
if you
Yeah, here, I can get this to you. So,
Got the spelling on there for you.
yeah, excuse me.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming
Thank you very
today.
much. There's that.
Okay.
Yeah. I got
Yeah, we're excited.
Next item on our agenda, gentlemen, is consideration of signing the Sangre de Cristo Electric Association Service Agreement for Custer County Recycling.
Mr. Chairman, I would request a recess. I've got a phone message on my phone from Sangre de Cristo. I'd like to listen to that. It may be pertinent and relevant to this item of business.
Okay, I think we need a short recess
break
anyway.
Thank you.
Ready.
Okay, this is Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of County Commissioners. And I will reconvene our meeting. It is Tuesday, May 31, 2022, and the time is now 10:41. Next item on our agenda is the consideration of signing the SDC EA service agreement for Custer County recycling. And we all have that in our packet.
I move we accept and sign the contract for the SDCEA service agreement. Service agreement, I should say.
I would second. Discussion.
Yes, sir.
Did your phone call have?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, given the circumstances, I damn sure need to be careful what I say and what authority I think I have as a commissioner, but I read this. Did you gentlemen read it?
Mhm.
Is there anything in there that concerned you?
I didn't see anything, actually. It looked like it's their stock agreement, right? Except for the stuff that was added in.
I did not see anything that jumped out at me.
Is this for electric run to the building?
Custer County Recycles, yes.
And was it still 10 grand, Tom? Or whatever?
The dollar amount
Didn't
is
change anything.
98.
93 cents.
Yeah,
I can look it up.
the rough, I know we were expecting that or less than 10.
With the engineering fee is 98.75.22, and we've already paid the 500 engineering, so that makes it 93.75.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Good. There it is. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I read through this also. Is this a one-time payment by the county, or who's going to be paying the ongoing monthly fee?
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, this service agreement is with the county. It is not with Custer County Recycles. They are an entity of the county, or will be when they're up and running. But yes, this will be billed to the county.
Okay, one other thing, since I have the floor at the moment. Tom, I guess you probably should disclose your relationship with Sangre Cristo Electric, and then make a decision whether or not you should recuse yourself from voting on this.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thank you, attorney. Guess that's why we pay you the money. If need, I can refund you some money for that piece of advice. Yeah, and I've done a little research. It's not fair to drop this on you real quick, Clint, but my understanding is that an individual may choose to recuse themselves, may vote, and still have the ability to enter into discussion. Do you have an opinion on that? I may be wrong.
No, I think you have a right to do that, and I honestly don't see an ethical violation here, but I didn't see one back in 2020 at the time either, and I was present during that meeting, so I just wanted to get it out here in the open so there wasn't any question about it.
Right.
I think it makes sense. I mean, shoot.
Well, these two gentlemen, fellow commissioners, are welcome to take this on. I'm not sure
Well,
that they may understand all the ins and outs of it, but that's my
on
opinion.
discussion, you can enter in discussion, so I'll move we accept the agreement. Didn't I say that?
You did.
Yeah, so let's discuss it.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
your point with Tom aside, your opinion of this agreement?
I read it over. Apparently it is a standard agreement that is used for anybody who's seeking service, electrical service. So I didn't see anything that was improper about it at all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Well, with that being said, I'd call your attention to the rate schedule then.
Yeah, and I think didn't you bring that up before when we talked about it? Yeah, I thought that it was. It's fixed for now and then it changed. I can't remember what the detail. Which point now?
Well, that's why I asked attorney. Should I be involved in this or not?
Didn't he
I
just
sure
say,
hell don't need to go through another.
didn't he say
whipping post
discussion was
deal.
okay? That's what I heard. I don't know if that.
Okay. No, sorry, I was muted there for a minute. Yes, you can discuss it and then make a decision whether to vote on it or to recuse from voting on it.
So I'm saying $146.99 for an availability charge. And a $32.87 for the kilowatt charge.
Which should be of great concern to us. Because you're not aware of that.
A change.
What is our? So in regards to, say, just the landfill, what is our charges? I guess that would be a grading question probably too, huh? What our monthly charges are for the access and the kilowatt fee.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it states here it's a flat rate, period. No matter how many kilowatts we use. And then once the metering point is made available, even if the meter is not installed, the monthly serviceability will be billed.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I'll recuse myself. I don't need this. You guys can deal with it. We'll see how government functions.
Could you give Braden a call and have him show up, please?
So while we're waiting for him, the bottom line is, that is the service that's out there. It's with Sanger Crystal Electric. We have to deal with them. They've got a flat rate charge that they are wanting to service us with. And I don't know how much, other than what is written here, negotiation has been done or not on it. And when does this have to be on? It has to be on in time to start bailing.
Documentation on the payments for the landfill on.
So my question would probably be as to what the relationship is in regards to, if you compared it to the landfill.
Well,
Is this a high priority line, or are we getting charged extra?
that's true. And the other one is, Kevin, they make a point here that if this is a rate that's given to non-full year, use, and that's not. If you read below, it says the rate is for consumers who will not be using electricity for a full calendar year. If you decide this rate meets your needs, please contact us. If not,
They would just, I think.
then we gotta find out what a real
Okay.
rate is. So what was the deal on the recycle?
Sounds good.
We gotta- Sounds like we've been using it today, every day or every month with the baler when it's operable. Maybe miss a month once in a while because of weather or something.
Lisa's pulling the numbers and she'll give them a
Okay.
grade and then he'll be here shortly.
While waiting for him,
I'll call up Brian. too.
hmm?
I'm gonna call Brian and see what his understanding is.
I was on the phone, I didn't get a chance to go to the bathroom and step out.
I was there.
Hey,
You wanna-
Brian,
last
Bill
year?
Candy here with,
Oh, this is Rusty.
oh, Rusty, I'm sorry, can you give me, sound like Brian, is Brian there?
I don't know where Brian's at. I'm at my
Oh,
house.
okay, I called the wrong, whoops, lost him,
Okay.
hit the mobile hit again.
Do you just want so far 2022?
I'll work.
That would be fine. Okay, thank you.
Brian, is that you instead of Rusty?
This is, yep.
Okay, I accidentally hit Rusty and he said, well, what do you mean? We're discussing the electric agreement with Sangre de Cristo.
Okay.
And the contract agreement they sent us was for a partial year of use, not a full-time use.
Oh,
So the service agreement says is for a rate that consumers who will not be using electricity full-time. If you need a different rate, we need to tell them. So what was your understanding? Have you talked to anybody about it?
no,
Okay,
I don't know.
so my question to you is then, have we been using the baler full-time, and do you expect to use it full-time when the new one?
Yeah, it'll run every day.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the rate's no good, basically, doesn't matter
Okay.
what we paid in the past. And we need to know, I
I
guess,
don't know how they have it set up for the landfill because there are 2 meters now. There's gonna be one for the recycling building and
right,
there's a meter for the landfill. So I don't know, however, I mean.
right, because, and we don't have a way of separating how much use the baler gave us last year anyway, do we then? How much we paid for the electricity for it compared to the other uses at the
Yeah,
landfill?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah.
Probably not.
Because, yeah,
So,
Any office, the only power that really is that baler and those heaters in the wintertime, electric heaters, but.
right, so that probably, most of the electric bill then might have been,
Right.
okay. All right, well, sounds like we need to understand what the rate is we're paying now and then ask them for a full-time service agreement rate on the new one, right?
Right, I guess, yeah, so I don't know if, yeah. I really didn't understand that paperwork when I read it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's their stock contract, but it stipulates the monthly rate, no matter how many kilowatts we use, and it was $146 plus some other fees
Uh-huh.
and per month.
Hmm.
So that doesn't sound too much,
Right,
but that's a partial use, so we need to get them, need that request that they give us a full one. So
Yeah,
who's
I
been
would think
handling
so.
this? It should, Tom in the past has been handling it and
yeah.
so,
Well, it's the actual statement that I get from the landfill doesn't even actually have the landfill, it just says Custer County.
okay,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how it's all set up.
we'll see how Lisa, what Lisa has, if she gets it
This is just
broke out by the
last
month.
6 months. and
Right.
I can-
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Okay, yeah, anything else, let me know.
Thanks.
Who it's allocated for on the top here and all landfill I highlighted. I think I highlighted most of them.
Okay.
Okay, will that work?
So is that a monthly billing?
Because
Does it
on
show?
this contract, we have an availability charge and then we have a demand charge.
Okay,
So the question is that during high demands? And see, now we don't have that information.
Based on,
because we don't have,
right, based on what he just said, it's the majority of the electric out there is the baler that's going on pretty much full time. What is it? What's the demand right now? What on that one that she just brought?
32.87 per kilowatt.
Monthly rate. And so what is the bill?
I'm looking here to see if they're on these accounts, we're not showing what the kilowatt charge is.
No, but there was a monthly charge she paid, no one.
Mhm.
What was it?
$146.99 for the availability, and then there's a demand charge.
That's the current rate was that. Did she have an actual monthly number?
32.87 per kilowatt.
That's today, right? So what it would we pay in August? or- Landfill power, he says majority of this is the baler. Gets viewed. But it looks like it's been varying between 160 to 300 to 175. Whatever.
That's before this contract is signed.
That's correct. You asked, that's what we asked for. Is what's
Yes.
the rate then?
So
So,
I was hoping to find kilowatt charges, but we'd have to see the bills for that.
well, they gave us a per kilowatt, and so you'd have to just divide that in there and then get it. But the actual cost and what they're saying here, the actual number is 146 for no matter what you use, but that's a flat rate for assuming you don't need it all the time. And he says the baler is going to be in use full time, and so the landfill meter will only be measuring the stuff that's less than baler now.
Are you going to participate in any of the discussion at all if you're asked a
You
question?
know what, Mr. Chairman, I'd love to, because you guys have no clue
No,
what
we
you're
don't.
talking
That's
about.
right. So
This is the problem with government. This is the
Tom.
problem with this crap that went on this
That-
morning. I hope you can understand why I would say, you know what? No, I probably don't need to. It's a problem with county government or any other form of government. In this particular agenda item, I have the knowledge.
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
I also serve on the Sangre de Cristo Board of Electric. I sure as hell am not going to get any financial gain from sharing my knowledge with you, but I have no intention of sitting through this crap again.
you don't
And
have
that's
to,
the problem.
Tom.
Oh,
You don't have to.
Sir, with all
Listen,
respect,
No,
you have
with all
no
respect,
idea.
Tom, you're making a big deal out of nothing
Oh,
here.
Okay,
Because we know
gentlemen,
it's okay for you to discuss it.
So to your point, Mr. Chairman, with respect, you say I'm making a big deal out of nothing. You didn't sit here and have to listen to this morning. In fact, you were part of it. So don't tell me it's not nothing.
I didn't get in trouble in the first place, Tom. I'm sorry to say that,
You did
Period.
not.
period.
So that doesn't give you
my
the right
point
to say
is,
that what I
given-
went through was
Gentlemen,
nothing. That's all I'm saying.
It's okay.
please,
So-
I hope this is civil discussion. I'm emotional, but I hope I'm not
Yeah.
being disrespectful.
I
If I
understand.
am, then you certainly put a halt to it, Mr. Chairman.
okay,
You have that right.
I would like to visit the item at hand.
Right.
I would not like to rehash
Right.
the earlier part of this meeting. I understand it intermingles with this,
It does.
Mhm.
but I do not want to rehash that discussion. I would like to discuss the item at hand. Yes, you have knowledge, you have the intimate knowledge. If you do not want to participate, then I would say we need to postpone a decision on this until we can get further information to garner the knowledge that you have. If you are willing to share your knowledge at this time and it is not a conflict according to Clint and you agree with that, then I would welcome your input.
Thank you, sir.
Now-
Very well
I
spoken.
have a question. Point
Sir.
to make too. That's where I was headed with it, Kevin. We don't have enough information to begin with because we need to know the full-time rate, not a part-time rate as well. So I would have recommended, given what Brian just said and the fact that we don't have enough information, we do postpone and until another time and let the Sanger Crystal Electric understand and give us the correct rate because we're going to compare it with a full-time rate. I can't imagine unless we want to, if it's that much different, we need the information. We might want to do a part-time and delay bailing on 1 month or 2 months, whatever, maybe to get that rate. Some of the options that we need to consider. So I agree, we need to postpone this.
Okay, so my question is back, we heard Clint's opinion on whether or not you are able to share. I would like to know now if your decision as to whether, are you going to continue to recuse or would you share information with us at this time?
Council, did you hear this last exchange?
Clint, are you there? No reason why it shouldn't be.
Clint?
Is there-
Mr. Smith, are you able to unmute?
Okay, I'm here.
All right, thank you, sir.
I was reporting some smoke to 911 just now.
Wasn't in town, was it?
No, it's up Oak Creek right a ways, but about a mile away from here, and they're gonna check it out. So
So,
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of your conversation.
and that was my question, if you heard our last exchange or not. Apparently you did not.
Now I had to make that call.
And you're aware that we're dealing with the motion on the floor to accept the service agreement with Sangre de Cristo. And you had mentioned that maybe I ought to give some consideration to recusing myself from the vote. I asked you about debate. I understood you to say that it was probably okay to have a discussion about this. I'm very frustrated about this whole process of, I don't mind recusing myself from the vote. These guys have no idea what we're talking about here, and it's not their fault they haven't been involved. But I've been burned enough to say, you know what, I'm going to recuse myself, and they can start over and go through all the research that I've done and come up with the knowledge on themselves. It's an asinine way to run county government. But as I indicated to Commissioner Kent, I'm not going to sit here and get roasted again like I did this morning for operating outside the authority or whatever you want to call it of a commissioner. So I'm not going to risk it. I would ask again for your legal opinion, but I don't know that I'll take it.
Well, my legal opinion is still the same. You could contribute to the conversation and tell them what you know about how this all works, because you do have some familiarity with it and you've done some work on this already. But I would still urge you then for the actual vote to recuse from voting on it. As long as it doesn't appear that you're trying to influence the decision of the other two members of the commission. That's the big issue, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to risk it, Clint. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I want to change this. Then if we're going to postpone this and get more information to have a discussion later so that we're up to speed. And I have the ability, I understand this well enough to make decisions with the information that we need additionally, I believe, and then we'll get together and we'll have another look at what the actual rate should be or could be and make a decision whether to go with the partial use rate or what the full-time rate is. We can't compare it right now because we don't have the full-time rate. And so I would, however you want to handle it, withdraw we can vote to postpone this. I can't remember the legal way to do that now, or the Roberts rule way, but we need to withdraw what we've got going and move to postpone it to another date.
Well, there's a couple of ways we could go. You could withdraw your motion and I could withdraw my second, or we could move to move it to another meeting.
I will move to withdraw the motion first.
I will withdraw my second.
Okay. So now I would think that the next motion would be to move to request the additional data necessary to have a discussion and a decision made on another date, which will occur either next week on the 7th or 8th, which is probably what we should aim for, or because the next commissioners meeting is the end of the month.
Correct. We have no mid-month.
So I believe that Sangre de Cristo probably would be, let's see, we've got, what is it, a week to get it? So that would be done.
The 7th would be 7th or 8th.
Let's do it the 8th, give us the most time we got.
Okay, I would move that we put this on the back on the agenda for the 8th, allowing us to get more information from Sandra and Crystal.
Okay, and I will second that, and I would volunteer to be the guy to call. I gotta talk to him about horses anyway.
Okay. I would like to know, for my own knowledge, when the demand times come in on that 3287 for the demand charge, and the service availability is probably going to be a set charge, but when does our demand charge come in?
Right, we need to know the threshold when they, what is partial time mean?
Okay,
And they do have an appointment with me and the CEO being set up now.
okay,
Mr. Chair.
yes, sir.
So that I don't come across being a total ass as a commissioner, I would offer up a name and a phone number for Mr. Canada to pursue this. I guarantee you large power time of day better be the topic of conversation. Mike Allen, 719-395-2412.
What's his title?
I don't have that at my tip of my tongue.
I'll verify that, and I will get a hold of him, and that, of course, is the topic of the discussion.
Do you understand time of day?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be the demand charge, correct? Or not?
Well, there's different demand charges.
Okay, let's move along. So we're gonna meet on the
It will
8th,
be June 8th.
and I will make sure that they have sent in a formal number for us based on different options.
Okay, next item, consideration of
Still
accepting.
gotta vote on that.
Oh, thank you. Okay, those in favor of putting the contract with Sangre de Cristo service agreement for Custer County recycling on the June 8th agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Consideration of accepting the amendments to the zoning resolution. We went through those at the workshop the other day.
I would move that we approve the amendments as presented at the workshop for the zoning resolution.
I would second that. Discussion.
Good meeting, good resolution of the issues, I thought.
Discussion from the floor. Okay, those in favor of accepting the amendments to the zoning resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Kelly, are you going to need a copy of that?
Zoning
The
resolution?
amendments specifically or not?
No, just an updated copy of the resolution.
Jackie will get them post haste, I'm sure.
All of us.
Yeah, according to her last email, she was going to add those as addendums to the resolution and at some point reprint the resolution, but I do not remember what date,
That's what she
if
said.
there was, that she was going to reprint that entire document.
Okay. Consideration of posting planning and zoning director's position.
Okay, she got it rewrite.
And Brady gonna feedback here for this one.
They should be.
You could call him Dorothy. Thank you. We did get some job descriptions from Jackie.
Mhm.
I think everybody had them It's Monday.
In regards to the finance director position.
Could you give me the date on that email? So
It was Monday, so that would have been, the,
Thursday, you talking about this last Monday, yesterday, it would be
it was
Thursday.
yesterday, she sent out.
Yeah.
Let me see. Actually, my mistake, I should have checked. I think I was the only one on her line there where she sent these.
I don't have a record.
I don't see it
Doesn't
either.
surprise me, but I don't have.
I don't believe either one of you do.
Did they just send it to you?
It was from Jackie and it came in. I did not check to see.
It come from Brady.
No, these were just some that Jackie had put together. Braden would have the final drafts. These are,
Is that what she said? I don't see anything from Jackie. There she is. Did you give your job descriptions to Braden or just
just me.
to the head haunch here?
Braden and Kevin's got them, and then here's copies. Nope, don't touch
That's an
that.
enactment.
Sloppy.
I'm sending
Have some.
this to you gentlemen as we speak.
What he's sending when he's on.
Yes.
Get your hard copy. You want a hard copy?
Yes. Here.
Why are you here?
What's that?
He's just being mean.
Because he saw you and knew trouble was coming. Okay, you want to explain what you did? Was it based on our discussion or?
Yes, and I separated the planning and zoning, code enforcement and sanitarian out of the planning and zoning director.
Okay. so
And then I
that's
made
the
a
first
new one for the director.
Okay.
And then I
Just passing
also,
that, Passing this,
please,
this is thick. You don't do that much.
and I also have the old one
No, it's not
with
mixed
the
up.
combined ones.
Don't need it right now. I don't-
So we were tasked with doing job descriptions, and JD did the posting for the newspaper. And then Braden was tasked into what this is gonna cost.
Mhm.
And also, I think taking some of your job descriptions and maybe tweaking them. Is that correct?
No, I did that.
That's what she said, this one.
Those are those.
Yeah, I did mine, but I didn't think to send it to anybody. I just thought we were discussing it today, so I could send it to everybody if you want. I've got it done upstairs.
It's a half time, right?
Okay, yeah, I thought I heard at one time that if we were gonna be changing things up, that you might be taking Jackie's and possibly reworking some of them, correct or not? Did I hear wrong?
I think this is a result of those changes.
Yeah.
This is right here. These are the changes.
So I took my job description and filled out everything that had to do with the outs. That's the septic and the code enforcement out of the director. So I made a new job description for the planning and zoning director and a new job description for the planning and zoning code enforcement officer and county sanitarian.
So in your view, then this guy works for this guy. Is that right?
Yes.
I would ask on your one that was with just the director job.
Planning and zoning director.
We did have 105% of your time taken up on that one. I did notice that the other day.
I give over 100.
I know you give over 100%.
Okay.
The other
so-
one adds up to 100, so
Okay, so I would need to correct that.
yeah, that's just
Get rid of that
tweaking the
5%
numbers a little
code
bit.
enforcement conduct security training.
So on the sanitarian, if we go to that one,
and start out with that one, because that's the one that's a half split.
Mr. Chair, can I interrupt for just a second?
Yes, sir.
Could we ask JD if he could get us a copy of those while we're discussing this?
Sure, I'll run up
Save us
and print them out.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. Go ahead, Jackie.
So it's basically goes through the functions. The thing I did add was on requirements, proof of an on-site wastewater treatment system certificate. That's on page 3. And then employees
Jackie,
must.
if I may, requirements for hire,
Yes,
so this is pre-employment.
yes.
Okay.
This is the, so,
I thought it was the job description.
it's a job description, but you'll notice that I think in JD did the ad. I didn't bring a copy of the ad. But,
So
JD did the ad, but I guess the thing we need to discuss, in my mind, is we need to discuss the cost. And where the money's
Well,
coming
we'll
from.
get to that with Brady.
So so you got a couple options. You have the option of leaving the job as director alone and giving more responsibilities to the clerk. Or you got the option of hiring a director and then hiring another half-time person to do code enforcement and sanitarian.
and the other half would be with JD.
Correct.
And that's what I thought we left it as our primary goal.
We were gonna see what the,
Right.
Sure.
Sure.
I agree. I think that's exactly where we left it after our workshop. I think you've done just exactly what we asked. I have a question, kind of an overarching question, if I may, Jackie. Is it fair to say, overarching, not specifically, that the sanitarian is in charge of septic inspections?
correct.
There could be other things, but that's the primary responsibility of that job.
Yes, or that's the number one of the job. It's also, that's still a sanitarian. If there is a situation sometimes where DHS and the sheriff's department will contact you to go about sanitation.
Water
Sanitation.
thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Water testing,
Whatever.
Water testing, it
Okay.
goes
Thank
to
you.
the health
but
department
that's
and bubble.
sanitarian.
No, we just give them the bottles.
Who does, a sanitarian or the director? of
The
planning and
zoning, the planning and zoning have little water bottles. They have to catch their own water, but if there is if we have a polluted creek, then we have to catch that water too, but that falls underneath the sanitarian
So it's
also.
a sanitarian.
Sanitarian.
Don't mix them up with us. It's
You said that
sanitarian's
that's the
job.
planning and zoning's job.
But if it's just an individual who wants a water test, then we have the test kits. But if we
Who
have
has the test? It's the sanitarian or
the
the,
planning and zoning
if it
office.
was separated, would it all remain in the planning and zoning? Is that what you're saying?
Like an individual comes and wants to have, like if you're getting a loan, for like a vet gets a loan, they have to test the water before the loan will go through. So we give them the paperwork and the water test bottle and they gotta run it to Payable. But if we have suspicion that a septic has leaked into a water body, then we have to test it. But we don't, we just collect it and take it to Payable right away.
And you're saying we, I'm trying to get in my mind now who we
Sanitarian.
is. Sanitarian, that's okay, perfect. Got it. Is it fair to say anything from the state health side, the sanitarian would be involved in that?
No. The only thing that the sanitarian has to follow is the state health guidelines on regulation 43. And that's the new outs regs.
I thought the health department had the sanitarian duties. that we've always had a sanitarian report and on other things other than.
You go, like if I had well, for instance, if there was a major septic that was in violation during my report, I would do it during the Board of Health
Right.
when stuff, but only if there's a major one.
If there was a breakout of a position, like we said, it's gonna have a separate sanitarian. It belongs under the Department of Health.
Yes, but we have decided at that workshop that we can't do that till the first of the year.
Well, don't mix that, it's just black and white, if it was a full-time position. Or half-time, whatever it is.
I guess here's my purpose or my concern in these questions, Jackie, is I'm sure this is as clear as a bell from your mind because you've done all these jobs.
Yes.
When I read the code enforcement and sanitarian, the stuff that pertains obviously to sanitarian, it looks like it's almost all on-site wastewater treatment stuff. Reading the essential functions of the position. Obviously, we haven't had a chance to read this, so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, the only
scan
thing
through it.
that I added on the essential functions was provide quality customer service as a county code enforcement officer and inspector, but I think that when we get, I hope, the characteristic duties and responsibilities, that doesn't cover as but sanitation. I guess when you get knowledge, skills, and abilities, knowledge of best practices in code enforcement, and knowledge and ability to accurately and effectively administer boundaries, subdivisions. So when I get into the knowledge and skills, it's mainly about this code enforcement.
Okay. Is the code enforcement be considered an inspector as well? Did they go inspect or is it the
Yes,
sanitarian that
They
inspects?
both are inspectors.
And you believe this is the right way to go?
I think that it would help alleviate. I have a little bit of angst on how the mechanism is going to work because what happens is my septic contractors will call and they'll say, hey, I need an inspection Tuesday. I'll be done by 1. So to get to that point, the clerk has actually got to do the application, collect the fee, and make sure that that soil analysis is correct. And then it goes on that calendar as you walk in, that whiteboard. So the only thing is that our clerk in that office sets up all the timing and stuff for these septic inspections. And it's something that at this point in time, I usually try to go as soon as possible because I don't want an open hole and stuff, especially when the weather starts getting ugly and stuff. So if JD is willing to work upstairs and let's just say that the person that gets hired for this comes in and looks on the board that they have 2 inspections this day and 1 this day, then they could communicate with JD and say, hey, these are the days that I cannot help up here. I got to go out here. And I'll be between that person and the office director to figure out the time, because the problem is I just don't want to see that the contractors get left in the dust, and I don't want to see that JD's paying half the wages and he gets left in the dust.
Yeah, balance the workload. together.
And so I'm hoping that they can come to a conclusion that it's all balanced out. But JD used to work in that job. He knows what it's like.
Yeah, and I understand about leaving a leach field open for a long time, not a good idea. You introduce contaminants and that kind of stuff, so, yeah, those need to be done right away.
So we had this conversation during the workshop. Do you believe we should approach this that the code enforcement, the county sanitarian is going to be 8 to noon or 1 to 4?
No,
Do you think we need that flexibility in there to do either?
I think it
one?
needs to be very
Has to be
flexible
very
because of what she's saying. I mean, 8 to noon or 1 to 4 would work fine for me, but I know how it is. You'll get the contractor calling and one guy wants one in the morning, one guy wants one in the afternoon of the same day. And so, you know, we can, I think if we leave it up to myself and whoever has a position to do it, we should be okay, because it's like, oh, well, this week I need to go these days. All right, come in these days, this next week, you know, we can work it around.
see, and I actually had tossed around the idea that the inspections would only happen Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I thought, well, that's not fair, because
Yeah.
they gotta get that job done and move on to another one. So you're gonna get contractors that we're holding them up. It's a nickel holding up a dime.
Got it.
You know, it happens. I mean, the state operates that way. Contractors don't get to decide the schedule.
I agree, but
But here, I support the flexibility and then placing that trust in the elected official and the new position, whoever that is.
now, at one time we had discussed in that workshop, putting them both out there. The combined job and then the split job, because the angst is maybe somebody would want to do all of them. But in the realm of things, I think this will make it smoother, a smoother operation, and you're conquering two positions that are faltering right now.
Yeah, let me, got options, but let's go back to the primary one. I need to know the numbers. Let's assume we go with the directors as you got it, and let's assume we got a half-time sanitarian, whatever, that works with JD. So what did you find out, right? What are the costs?
So just same as what we discussed during the workshop. If we're talking about just a base $36,000 full-time position, plus benefits to the maximum extent that somebody can accept benefits, it would be that $36,000 salary would actually be a $56,000 cost to the county.
Okay,
So
that's
this-
for which position?
This would be for the joint position.
So 20,000 is benefit package cost to the county.
Correct. Yeah. Retirement and health insurance.
The joint position.
The one that.
That's sharing between JD.
Yes.
Okay, this is for the, use the job description. It
Yes,
says
so the
zoning code enforcement
enforcement-
officer.
Zoning code enforcement, county sanitarian, and.
Data
That's it.
collection.
Yeah, okay, so that is what they see, the base salary is 36, whatever it was. The cost of county with benefits is what, say it again,
Would be 56,000.
56 and 36.
Yes.
So question if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
28 grand on your budget, JD, reasonable? For your half, 28,000?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I don't have it in there right now.
No,
but yeah,
2023.
yeah,
Is that what it is, Brain? JD's position?
it'll be 28, because we're talking
28.
56.
Right, because that's half of 56, right?
Yeah,
The
right.
overall cost and half of 36
No, the 36
is halftime.
is, that's
base
what
salary.
they take home, or that's their.
I
That's
know.
salary,
That's salary,
56 is total cost.
and the salary makes paid by both. So what is it? It is 36,000 split between the two departments.
It'll be 18.
36 is what we post the job at, so that's the only reason I throw that number out there.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
56 is the cost to the county, which is what we're talking
So
about.
that's the overall position
Yeah.
split it, and then to each department, you just break it in half, is what you're saying.
Correct.
28.
That's okay, I'm just. All right, good.
So that's just that position. The other one. I kind of go back and forth here because. My original thought was a $45,000 start for the director position.
Oh, I'm staying.
Without the sanitation job.
Without the
Code enforcement.
and sanitary, yeah,
45 is what you're recommending.
which would be a cost to the county
Mhm.
of 65,882, roughly 66,000. The reason I hesitate on that a bit is because currently, just round numbers, let's say, I guess we would say that that's $15,000 that would be being taken away from Jackie's current position. But that's also plus years of experience and everything too. So years of experience and those two positions, we were saying is equal to 15,000 at that point, which gets us roughly to that full-time amount. I'm just,
Well, the full-time now is based upon lots of experience and time and grade and all that. But what would be the rational starting salary for a director that has these qualifications? You still say it's 45,000 or is it less?
well, and the reason I say 45 is because you move much further down in
Right,
in the same realm as
that's right.
starting wage for any position.
Okay,
But as I mentioned in the workshop, and I guess for public
Yeah,
knowledge,
that's reasonable.
we don't have a base for a director manager salary.
but we are
Yeah,
actually
base for the
established
county.
in that if we go with that. That would be the base.
For her position,
Right,
not
just-
necessarily for anyone else.
that's right. This is the base for this director's job. As if that somebody got in here this year and we had to hire one next year, that base would be whatever it was at the beginning, it's a base salary for that position. So,
Question for Jackie, it's really the same one I asked JD. You'd have to look down the road, but based on your experience, planning and zoning pick up 28,000 on their budget in 2023.
Oh, yeah. Because the new guy would have to do a new budget and then we're actually, if you take my wages minus what you're offering the new director, you ended up with how much extra?
15.
15. So now we're back at the halftime at 17. So we're only, my office is only gonna be a couple grand short next year.
General fund, of course, is stand to pay out of your
Oh, yeah.
This comes up with.
leave package, but
JD's the one that. Oh, man, he needs help.
well, I'm asking
You don't have
both,
to
I don't doesn't look like it to me.
I'm asking both of you if you believe your budget will be able to afford that. I guess that's what I'm going. You're not going to do the budget. I understand that, but based on your experience, if you were here, you believe that would fit in next year's budget, 28 grand.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask for 28 grand more next year. I mean, I can't pull it out of what I got now.
Right. No, I don't expect your current budget. to
But, yeah.
absorb it.
But Braden, you understand where I'm coming from. My budget can handle it.
Because of the income you're generating and other.
My income goes to general,
Right,
you know,
right.
you can't say, well, look at Jackie made 330.
Right.
She gets to spend whatever she wants,
No, we
but,
understand.
but basically,
But there's revenue.
you lower my wage for the jobs that you take away, then I get that extra and I'll pay for the part-times. And so I think it'll almost be a wash,
Yeah,
correct?
your budget's not gonna change dramatically. Mine will. but-
Right.
Correct.
Because of the benefits that you've elected or not elected, there is a potential for a much greater cost for the new position. So
Oh, I forgot about that. I don't take the
Really,
benefits.
That's why we're looking at 56,000 as a total.
So when we look at this, we're
That's
really looking at an additional cost to the county of 56,000. Worst case scenario.
Right.
Everybody might come on and have a fantastic health package for
Who
their
knows?
spouse or somebody else, but that's the worst case scenario numbers is this would be a plus $56,000 of expense to the county. I'll state on the finance side, I'm a little hesitant in just the big picture as a whole of personnel within the county, because we have been adding jobs and there's, I think we're getting to that point where there probably needs to be a bigger conversation about all of the positions and just efficiencies within the county as a whole. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this, but I do think that there's a conversation that's probably needs to happen pretty quickly and can kind of piggyback off of a job description, getting all the job descriptions for everybody in the county, just to really see what this looks like and to start doing some of the analysis as far as employee wages is going to happen regardless of whether we've got $300,000 coming into planning and zoning or money coming in from landfill and property taxes, continuing to rise. As far as valuation goes, not taxes itself rising, but so I think there stands to be a little bit more strategy moving forward. I think right now we could stand that at $56,000 or what's left for this year, but there might be a conversation next year or by budget time saying, actually, we need to cut another position. Maybe it's not this one, but maybe it's another one in the county. So I just want to bring up that my concern there.
And you did before, and I think we agreed that has to be done. We need a budget review mid-year. You're gonna do that in the end of June timeframe, and it should if you're not planning to do that. And that's when we need to revalidate. We know we have to have a director. We've already agreed that it looks like the part-time thing is necessary and we can get probably by. But we need to understand how we really stand. Maybe their people aren't spending the way they have projected at the front of the year. Maybe it's underspent, maybe it's overspent. That's why we have to look. And then during the budget cycle time, we need to understand that job position, and we need to remember we've had this discussion before, whose jobs are being funded or not, depend on the relative importance of that job to the county succeeding and meeting its requirements, the requirements for road and bridge, requirements for whatever, but the whole budget encompasses. So that has to be nailed down before we get into the budget, moving around and seeing what people live with. These are the positions we agree we need to continue. And these are ones that might be considered, like you said, to lay off somebody because we can't afford it or whatever, depending on our projection. So I personally am looking toward you to give us the data so we know what we're and have that meeting.
May I say something, Chairman? Personally, it would be very hard to send out a help wanted note if you sent one for the combined director, sanitarian, and code enforcement, then sent one with a split. I don't want to see the county create another job just so that later on down the road, somebody loses a job. I don't think that that's fair for anybody to lose a job that's already has a job and stuff.
You're confusing me. We're not sending out one with it split. We're sending out a director's position and another position that has two different criteria now. That's a full-time.
The split is the joint one that I'm talking about.
Okay, that's how, so say it's the code enforcement.
And then be the joint one.
Right.
Let's just call it a joint.
As long as
I
you're
like that
not,
word.
as long as we understand you're not talking when you say joint, meaning your current
That's right.
situation. That's what I thought you were talking
That's what I thought you were
Uh-huh.
too.
So
it-
let's just call it the split position, a director in a split position.
Just call it the county and
It's too long to
code,
say.
just say the code enforcement. It's
It's
easy.
too long to
Code
say.
enforcement's hard to say.
JD.
One thing too, I want to add to what Braden just said, when you're talking about next year's budget, you got to figure in there's going to be an increase for elected officials. I have no idea how much that's going to be, but it could be fairly significant.
We'll
So-
get that information.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, when you're looking at, because he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure if we can afford to do this long term, and I'm saying, if you're gonna look at that, and I think you should,
Right.
think about
Sure.
that, because that's gonna hit you next year.
Yeah, I mean, Braden brought up the elephant in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
We could very easily hire us into a position where we need to start cutting people.
Right,
Good.
Another thing too is what Polis signed. Because on the news, he signed something that any county employee could start a union and start asking.
we are
for-
exempt from
We got
that at this
exempted
point.
from it.
We are?
Hmm.
If your population is under 7,500,
Oh,
and at
good.
this point, our population is under 7,500. Down the road, who knows, but at this point.
But I thought,
Down the
oh,
road, that law is gonna be challenged. Who knows what?
because that'll add wages.
One of the things we talked about at the workshop was we discussed both options, and we have actually both options listed on the agenda here. It's been a joint discussion. But and one of the things we talked about though was going ahead and posting for your combined position, wearing all three hats and seeing where that went. That would do nothing in regards to this split position. And I don't know that we didn't actually make any decisions at that, but that was one of the things that we discussed, was just going that route if the money was not there to fund this new position.
All right, let me help then. You're right. I will move that we do not consider the same position that Jackie currently has as doing everything.
It's an illegal motion respectfully, but I
Well,
understand what you're saying,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause if it's
So
illegal, make it
the
right.
better thing would be to introduce the motions that are reflected on the
Did we
agenda.
move to do the joint already? If we did, I don't recall
No,
doing that.
There's
So
been no motion made about
so-
what we're doing.
we need to make a motion, and I don't know how that'd be illegal to do either one, but I would say I would rule out the joint, I want to call it the joint one,
Right.
because that's confusing.
So if you
It's
want
the
to.
tried, it's Jackie's job. I'm
Right,
not
so if
gonna
you want to
repost
rule
her
that
job.
out, then we should entertain the motion. Two separate motions to hire those.
Right.
And never even
That's
talk about
correct.
Jackie's.
That's
current-
correct. We
That's
can do
would
that.
be my advice, but,
We can do it that way.
um,
So I move, then, let's do it right. Let's get doing it, because I move that we accept the recommendation for the planning and zoning director job description Jackie is getting.
second. And
The salary
thank you.
at 36,
No.
or excuse me, at maximum 45 to the employee, 65 impact maximum to the county with benefits, what he said,
As a starting
as
salary.
a starting
Okay,
salary.
I will second that.
Okay, and that is for posting a planning and zoning director's position.
Yes. As presented.
We're just doing the director in
Right.
this motion.
Just the director in this motion. That's it. We'll do the joint one, the county code enforcement position second. /G.
Any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Jackie, you had mentioned, I don't remember if JD was in here. I don't think he was, that JD had posted the job.
No,
No,
Okay, hasn't been done yet.
no.
Okay.
No, I wrote up a potential.
Okay,
I was gonna
but it hasn't
give it to
gone
Bree to
out.
Look at, no, I've showed it to her.
Okay,
I-
maybe she said you wrote the posting.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Okay.
I thought I would give it, if it gets approved, I would give it to Braden to
Right.
look at before it went in.
You're ready, is what you said.
Yeah, I came in yesterday and wrote up the job description, wrote up the posting, did all that.
Yeah,
Because our meeting was on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday are holidays, and we were meeting at whatever this morning, and I knew I wouldn't have time, so I came in yesterday.
Yeah, that's fine.
good job.
So it maybe doesn't have to be said here today, but back to what Braden had said, if things go south and the county finds itself having to terminate employees, then there's going to be a big discussion about that. But is it last in, first out? How does that look? And then do we, if we had to, I'm just trying to look at the downside, then we go back to the zoning director and say, we're gonna have to add additional responsibilities to your job.
Or we only do the halftime for code enforcement instead of giving JD his help. I mean, that's a choice that can be made.
Sure.
So there's
Or
options.
halftime to JD and
Right. And right now we know that the complete description has been afforded already, what Jackie does today, whatever it costs. So I think we're safe, and that's true with any position. We can always be faced with a budget cut and somebody's gonna have to be laid off. And we'd have to start prioritizing things, but we can't. Yes, now.
I think I get to go first. I follow your comment from a while ago. I hate to be talking about creating a position and hiring someone while at the same time talking layoff.
well,
No, seriously, I mean, so where I am at the present time, would be not supporting the current motion, but posting the job as it now exists. Through the remainder of this year, and if it looks like we can do something better at budget time as far as helping both departments, we can do that while we are discussing our budget. And we're not sitting here and taking someone on in this hand and holding the knife in this hand at the same time. That, to me, is not a prudent decision. You may.
So I agree with you that that wouldn't be a prudent decision, but I also believe it would be imprudent of us not to have the conversation, to just think we can keep hiring people. I think that's why Braden brought it up as a cautionary step, and that's why I followed it up. I don't, as Commissioner Candace said, we're just guessing, absolutely. I don't anticipate we'll have to terminate employee because of our actions today, but if we don't have the conversation, we're coming up short. We got to be realistic about it. So that's our choice. Exactly what you said, right? We either don't do it and press on, or we do it and be at least cognizant of the fact this may have an impact.
Okay, let me try this.
Sure.
It's no different, Kevin, because right now, if you post it with all three, you've got half of them. You don't have JD supported, period. If we post it by itself, we still have a halftime position we can advertise for, period. Got the money, no question, nobody had to be laid off to continue that through the end of the year because we've already got it budgeted. And then post the joint one separately, see what we get. And we don't have to accept it. We can repost a job description with only code enforcement if we wanted to.
But we don't have a halftime position budgeted now.
We have it in effect with what she's already being paid. Because she's doing all three.
No, because she's not accepting the benefit package. And
No,
we
I
have to
understand.
look at that,
I
so
I get it.
it's not the same.
I get that.
She also gets paid out for sick vacation, which
Yeah.
is gonna.
So
Yeah, I know, I get that.
it's gonna zero out, but let me tell you, let's go back in time. When I got the position, I was just county sanitarian. And then there was 4 people in that office. Custer County as a whole was not doing very good financially. The construction was down, septics was down. So we had 4 people in an office, and when they left, I told the county commissioners, as a taxpayer, I don't want to sit around and watch people twiddle their thumbs. So if you give me extra money, I could fulfill the other 2 positions. So they said, that's a great idea. Because you're looking at me coming off a double year. when I project the revenue for the zoning office, it's 160,
Right.
and that's top. Okay, so this year it was 320. Yeah, that's overwhelming. It was an overwhelming year.
Yeah.
But as a taxpayer, I want people to be conscious of the money. I also want the job done. So that's why I'm saying that if there's not any money and you're gonna lay off somebody, that's not the way that this needs to work. If you want to, you could up the clerk a little bit, wages, and give whoever's the clerk a little bit more stipend to do a lot more of the paper pushing that the director does, the short-term rentals and stuff like that. And get JD a halftime person to help upstairs.
And I could budget for that next year.
Right, with the clerk staying in the office, not going. out.
Not going out.
Right.
I believe you had your hand up.
I did, I was just gonna make a comment. Couldn't you hire an hourly part-time person for JD? It would be no benefits. That'd be a huge savings to the county.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I could budget for that next year.
I even brought that up at our workshop for the joint position to be part-time, to be less than 30 hours. So that's another opportunity too, that we could finagle it around. I think at the end of the day, the planning and zoning director is responsible for sanitation and code enforcement. Whether or not it's their authority to do it, or they give the authority to somebody else to do it, I think is kind of a part of this conversation. I think we could probably get away with hiring for a planning and zoning director and then maybe doing a part-time position that would encompass all three of those positions, sanitary and code enforcement, data collection.
30 hours
Knowing
being the.
Being
benchmark.
being
May
the
not
top.
fit.
The one problem I
Treat it
see
later.
with that is her septics. Because if you hire them part-time and they're supposed to work, I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and somebody wants an inspection on Tuesday, that's gonna be a problem. And if they have to reshuffle their whole thing to go in on Tuesday, then I don't know.
I
Could
agree.
do.
The only thing is that the halftime position that you're speaking about also, so let's say that there's a septic inspection. The director is ultimately the one that's responsible because so they could go out every once in a while and
So
do the
that's not in your
septic.
description.
But that's a new one I did. I have an old
I
one.
know, I'm just
Kevin
saying,
has
if we're
it.
talking about what we're gonna publish.
Can I open the window? You
You
guys
may.
are making me hot.
Please do.
So you open that one?
And one of our conversations as well was come budget time, looking at do the sanitarians' wages ultimately then moving forward fall under public health rather than planning and zoning, right? Because that position ultimately goes there even if it's housed in planning and zoning.
Which in either case, we'd have to keep track of hours. to-
And it would be
in order to
paid
get a-
for accordingly.
An accurate list of how much it costs for public health.
And I don't know if this is helpful at all, but before Jackie was quitting, knew nothing about that. I had planned to, in the budget process, ask for a part-time person.
Right.
To help Kristen. So I don't know, because she's getting behind and I had conversations with her and all that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm fine if we do this because I get a part-time person, or I'm fine if you do that, then I do a part-time person with no benefits.
Still the same to you.
It's gonna be all the same to me, so I kind of recommend doing what's best for your office with the inspections, because I've been there, and it's, to me, that's.
And then you gotta also remember that we have, well, last year we didn't, we have a short building season usually. And so, yeah, I probably cater to our contractors, but also our contractors are the ones that make that budget go up 320,000. So there's a thing. I also think that, maybe with JD's job, a halftime person, and with my job, I would try it. I'm convinced now to try it like I do it.
So you would let JD hire his own guy and just hire yours just the way that.
And then as the person that gets my job is more familiar what has to happen, they could make the decision of what they want to give the clerk.
So are you recommending that for real? this
Because if
time?
it was another woman like me, they could do it all.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir,
Hopefully it's not another woman like you.
Jackie's last comment was exactly what I wanted to ask her about. Male or female, doesn't matter to me. Do you think the whole combined job description would be overwhelming to an applicant pool?
No, I think that that you come in it and you really don't know. That's why I'm saying if we could hire and I got sent that one to you, the combined one, Kevin.
The
And
complete,
so if you did the complete one as a director and the person that got the job could say, you know what? Can I give the clerk this? And we revisit it when they get more familiar with what's going on. Because at the beginning, all you can see is, oh, that'll be a great job. And
and
sometimes
then we could
it's,
deal with it later.
and deal with it later.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion again, because that's the point.
Yeah, it probably looks and sounds awkward. Hell,
Doesn't
we
matter.
haven't talked
Doesn't matter.
about this.
It's
We gotta
the,
talk it
so I'm
out.
withdrawing the motion.
Yeah, I mean, we have to have opportunity to have these conversations.
John, I
right?
don't know
seconded
if
it?
you heard, because you were out of the room, I said before Jackie was quitting, and I didn't know anything about that, I had planned to
Did you
come in a
second it?
budget time and ask for a part-time person.
Okay,
There
so
would be no
withdraw the second
benefits,
time.
just
So
part-time.
that may still be in the
So,
mix.
yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do.
That's what he's gonna do anyway.
But, so where I went with that was, I think it's more important to get her position filled
Okay.
than mine, because I
Yeah.
can always ask for a part-time person down the road, and that will cost a lot less.
Right.
So I'm fine either way, because either way, I'm getting part-time if it's approved. But I think it's more important with the contractors and the septic inspections and stuff to figure out what you want to do with that position first.
Okay,
And I said that at the workshop.
so I withdrew it so we can discuss the full-time again, what we're already doing.
would you like to withdraw your second?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Okay,
that's where I was getting at.
Right.
We have to have an opportunity to have these discussions.
Right,
If
we
it
did.
means we change our mind in the middle of the
so
discussion,
now I will move
What's
that
the
we
harm?
accept the full-time position, or do we need to vote to withdraw it yet? We haven't. voted
You didn't
yet.
have, it. That you just withdrew.
Okay, so I move that we post Jackie's job description
As it
as
currently
it currently exists, as she's written it
for
for the full-time position.
the 45,000.
Whatever it is.
Why is they're talking to you?
I will second that and call for discussion. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to post the combined planning and zoning director, sanitarian, and code enforcement officer position at a fee of $45,000
Plus benefits.
a year, plus benefits. Discussion.
I love it this time.
yeah, I appreciate having these discussions. Are we chasing our tail? I don't know.
No, we're doing the right thing.
The entire discussion started because Jackie indicated to us that was too much of a workload for
She
one
lied.
person.
Didn't you?
So
You cold? Oh. I thought I called it.
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to ring the alarm bell about having to terminate somebody to drive our decision not to do the right thing.
I agree. I don't think we are, Tom,
Okay.
because only because she's now said she's not overwhelmed. And the new position could do all three. And
What I-
that wouldn't require any change now.
Yes, Jackie.
what I'm getting at is it can be overwhelming at times, but until you're there, you don't know what jobs that you could have the clerk doing.
Right.
You know, and then we had discussed this, Braden and I, that the clerk wants more responsibilities and duties to do. And so I think part of it is though I think that you get in the position that it always comes back to the director. If something goes out of that office that's not correct, who's held responsible? The director. So I think that that's why I'm saying that once somebody gets hired, they can say, oh, I don't want to do this.
Or
Or man, I
I'm going to
got,
assign these duties to the clerk.
why not? But I still think that after you're through with this, I really do believe that
You know, where they may come in and say, it's too much, I can't do this, I don't know how Jackie did it. And then at that point, you have.
And then
another
discussion and get a halftime and help you
Exactly.
out.
Who knows?
Easy peasy.
You were getting ready to say something.
also, JD, are you gonna make this motion, then I'll have to do another job description for that job to be posted. So can you make JD do that?
I thought
No.
you said
No,
you gave him a
no,
job
We're not
description.
doing that.
Please don't make me do her job.
Did you do a full?
You have
job
your full
description?
job description. You
But
said
we
you
gotta
did.
You have it or no?
And posting, you gotta do the posting.
Planning and zoning code enforcement officer, county sanitary.
All one job.
Wait.
All one job like you are today.
No. That, you got it one, I sent you the email and I says the original one.
Oh, so this was the original one. So we would need to make sure that,
Says, no, this is just a joint one. The one that you have on your email is my original one. I said original.
So do you have a current? You need to rewrite it yet, or we
No,
don't
he's
have the
got it
real?
on his email.
Okay, you got the one that's her current, describes her
I
current
said
position.
original. It was the last one I sent you.
and that should be this, and you have it on the top,
It
Has
says
all
planning and
three.
zoning director.
planning and zoning code enforcement officer, county sanitary.
No, you're missing the director on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have it. I think I forwarded that to you guys on your email then.
So it's your current, what you believe you're doing today.
Everything.
Yeah, it's everything. That's what we want. It's the mega job description.
I mean, sure.
Be ready.
Well, you must have it. I don't think we do.
Well, it's stated the same at the top. And
All right. We've got 2 emails with the planning and zoning code enforcement officer and county
and the
sanitary.
one that was sent with the notation here is my job description.
That's,
And then she has, here's the draft.
that's the one.
They may be the same.
Right. So if you could forward us that last one, and look at it. But yeah, I'm a little concerned that they may look at that whole job posting and go, now they may not know enough about it from the job posting to even understand that.
Even without it.
With the vacancy announcement, but
So what did you send us at 11:13, Kevin?
Okay, I just now sent the one that says, here is my job description from years ago. And so that was the initial job description.
and so
I think it would be
probably
prudent
need to revise.
if it was revised a little. I would say if you could make sure that you touch base with Jackie to make sure everything was inclusive in that before we posted that.
And my suggestion would be that we get rid of these other position titles, that it is just a planning and zoning director. These just happen to be functions of the planning and zoning director. And then those can then be separated out later on if they needed to be.
The job description has to include septic and sanitarian. So you're saying the job description is still the planning and zoning director, period.
Right, yeah, the position title would be planning and zoning director, all of all of
Including
that.
code
all of planning
enforcement and.
But we have to have a county sanitary.
That's by law,
Right.
so you have to separate it.
that has to
And
be-
our zoning resolution says that we have to have a code enforcement.
That doesn't mean you have to have a separate
Painted
job
ourselves into a
description you're
corner.
hiring to. You're just you're just requiring the job description as sanitarian. Like you do now. You're under one job right now. You're not in two positions.
Do you want a piece of candy?
I
With
see your
that, you
point,
see what I'm saying?
Jackie, that we may need to leave those inclusive in the title.
Yeah, maybe.
Excuse me.
Especially the sanitarian, because it is by statute, by our resolution, director was a
We have a
code enforcement.
section.
It could fall, that could be one of the duties of the director.
It could
But-
be, but it's not separated in the zoning like that. So
Okay.
we have painted ourselves in a corner. It's gotta stay that way.
Which just uses a little
Do we have a
more.
motion on the floor?
Yes.
We do have a motion on the floor to post the job,
Vacancy announcement.
the vacancy announcement for planning and zoning director,
And all.
sanitary and code enforcement officer, correct?
At all, yeah.
Adol, AL, et al,
At all.
et al.
So
Any,
is that gonna be the title? Planning and zoning director / code enforcement / sanitary.
Or you could say
yes,
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 that's what it is.
but it has to
now.
include those other titles, those job descriptions,
It
requirements.
will. If you got it on your computer now.
short answer, yes.
You're gonna need bigger business cards.
Okay,
It all depends who walks in, what I want.
are we just rehashing here? Are we ready to go ahead and do this vote?
The vote's to post it. And the motion was to post that
Yes.
vacancy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Do we need any timelines, any deadlines, any salaries?
You have a salary.
It was
We have
at
the salary.
$45,000.
and we need a
We're still gonna
timeline,
get one.
we need time to have them look at it. So what do you
Or
say?
do
And they
we,
still have to pass that test. Why don't you put it as filled?
well, we need a deadline because you have a deadline. You gave us a deadline. How about the middle of July?
July 18th is what I had as a start date.
So we'd
Ideally,
be
because that
back-
gives a month of training.
So applications would be due back here by the end of June? Or do we need it?
Right
sooner
before
than that?
30
or
June,
like
so we
a
can
week-
consider it the
Week prior
30th
to
of
the
June.
end of June. So like by the 24th, that gives us a week to interview following, and then that gives somebody 2 weeks notice to move from their job if they needed to by mid-July. And some wiggle room.
Right.
So apps are due by the 24th.
So,
Because we're probably also not getting it in the paper this week, so next week will be the first round.
Let's see, what is today? Tuesday?
True. We're not gonna make the deadline.
so one more question, Mr. Chair, if I may.
You mentioned.
It's to Braden. You came to us with a salary recommendation of 45,000 for just the planning director.
You didn't have to ask.
I know I didn't have to, but I think it needed to be asked. So my real question is, we were willing to hire a planning and zoning director of 45,000, and now we're gonna try to hire all three jobs. Are we gonna try to do that for 45,000?
Well, we had a motion on the floor. I don't know that we were well.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I hear exactly what you're saying.
It's 18
I just
plus.
was playing semantics there.
Right.
What's our current
But
salary?
the motion didn't include
They
45,000.
did.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it did, yeah, we added that. I'm not trying to say one way or another, I'm I hope,
Well,
saying the obvious that we were gonna pay that for one job and now are we gonna continue to pay that for 3 jobs?
you may.
When I had brought this up before, the starting wage for the OEM and the starting wage for the director, when Cindy Howard had it matched.
Okay, I think it's irrelevant from my perspective. I'll be honest with you, I'd like to see us bump that to 50 grand and hopefully we can get some qualified candidates.
I don't have a problem with that because she's already getting paid more than that anyway. It's there.
I
That
think I
runs our
kind of,
county cost up a little, but
Later, it will.
probably to 58, 58.5.
56.
Well, we were.
It'd be an extra 5,600.
Yeah, so
So
it'll
it'll
be
be
62,000 county cost.
whatever it is. So,
All right. It would be possibly 76,000. It's 65, 66.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. I was looking at the 36,000, sorry. So 66 up to 72, 73.
Yeah, we'd add another 5,000.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'll jump in there. I'll move to amend the motion by striking 45,000 and inserting 50,000.
I'll second it. Move on. Good.
okay, I have a motion on the floor to amend the previous motion by striking $45,000 annual salary to and inserting 50,000. Any further discussion on that? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion on that?
None from me.
Did we pick a date?
Absent by the 24th of June and start date July 18th.
It's papers first next Thursday. That gives them 2 weeks to
Here's the 24th.
applications in. It gives us a week.
Look at it
2
and then
weeks to
consider it.
interview and consider, and then 2 weeks for them to start on July.
And then something has to be in the ad that says they have to.
Pass that certificate
18th.
before they interview.
Correct.
Feel free to steal the wording I had in there on that.
I didn't like your benefit thing.
Yeah.
I liked.
So must
Okay, we can
possess a
change it if we
valid
want.
certificate prior to interview, right, Jackie?
That's the test.
Prior to interview.
Okay.
And I don't know if that necessarily needs to be in there, or it's just part of the process. Where we receive the applications, we call the ones that we feel are qualified moving forward and tell them they need to come in for
No,
a
I
test.
think you better put it up.
Put it in
front.
there. Has to be. in there. Maybe.
That way they can come in the office. Get
Well,
the
they-
test
We're gonna
done.
have
They
to
still
tell them
could.
to
Just
get-
tell them in the description, they will be given a test prior to interview that they must pass or they won't be interviewed. Considered. That's all you gotta do.
So one other question, one lead to another. Jackie, your last day is when?
August 22nd. That's Monday. You said Wednesday? Oh, I'm sorry, it was a vehicle noise. August 21st
Is this
is a Sunday, so I'm August 22nd.
Okay,
I
so
have to ask my
we're
manager.
5 weeks roughly of carrying 2 salaries.
I think I would even question moving that up originally. I just think the training time is gonna be as valuable or more valuable to do 2 salaries running at the same time. than if we
So well worth the investment. That's what you're saying.
Maybe Jackie would volunteer.
You
We
would
could
think
do that.
I'm saving my money for a back.
Well, guys, let's get this right the first time. I'm tired of listening. I agree. And I'm looking for a recommendation. and we've all agreed and we've switched it. I think it's valuable as well. And that's your recommendation now to up the, and get the application in when?
The 24th.
Still good there. We're not up in anything and riding side saddle longer. I thought that's what you were wanting.
No.
The training period. Okay, so now we're good here. And what do you, you're saying start date at 18 or before?
Start date's July
Well, at
18th.
the end of the day, I'm not the supervisor here, so.
I know, I'm
not
making
trying
a
to,
recommendation. No, that's not the
split
point.
hairs
That's not the
here,
point I'm
but,
making.
You know, that's
Make a
the
recommendation.
decision you guys need to make, because I have no
No.
idea how much time it's gonna take to train.
No, I know. You said more, you recommend more time was necessary. If she agreed,
I think it's something that should be considered.
well, that's what we did. So. Do you agree, Jackie? You got enough time to train them?
Yeah, because by the time you get the ad out, and then if they have a job, they have to give 2 weeks. They
Mhm.
still have to take a test, so
Right,
I think that's
You're
appropriate
gonna have to get
timeline
down
that
that
you
line.
laid
Okay,
out.
5-week training period.
I think that's appropriate.
okay.
Okay. So our dates are absent by the 24th.
Yep.
Their start time should be the 18th, if possible. Jackie's last day is the 22nd, so that allows some training time.
Right.
And that 18th fits into our payroll schedule.
That would be great, because right now, the clerk starts tomorrow, and that's gonna be training.
Overlap, and that's good.
So
You'll
that's
have
great.
that pretty well done.
Very
hopefully.
good.
Okay. Those in favor then of posting the planning and zoning director, code enforcement and sanitarian position for an annual salary of $50,000 a year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I would move that we take no action on the last item of business.
I would just add that expect to see me during budget cycle then. I'll tell Kristen we got a month through like we are, but
Reasonable.
I really need
Okay.
something soon. so-
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think,
none of this
No.
changed your need. did it?
No,
No,
it didn't do a thing
exactly.
for me, so I'm just like, yeah,
Okay.
I do think her position's more important in this point in time, so I'm
You
fine
do,
with that.
you do
but-
need somebody. We
You'll
understand.
Yeah,
remember
so-
that.
So I will be in
concession.
asking, so.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, JD.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to take no action on considering of hiring a full-time position split between planning and zoning in the assessor's office.
Now, I agree.
Any further discussion on that?
No.
Those in favor of taking no action on that item signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any additional items of business, gentlemen?
I do have-
yes,
Said Jen.
What do you have there?
did you vote on accepting the zoning changes?
Yes,
Yes,
and I
we
did
did.
not have anything to sign.
All three of you need to sign that, and then it needs to go to Kelly to be.
And this document reflects the changes we made in there.
Correct.
Can
So
you
this
send
is,
us that?
yeah, when I get it printed out. I need the enactment
This is just a
clause
signature page.
to go into the zoning.
We talked about that when we voted, Jackie. You had sent an email, said you were gonna send us, or you were gonna attach these changes as addendums until you reprinted the entire document. Or are you gonna take this and reprint the whole zoning resolution again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then every time I reprint it, it gets a different color. This time will be- Oh, it did.
Ready will be.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So this is an email from Reggie,
I'm just now looking at that.
based on the conversation this morning about the county webpage. She must be talking about public comment. I asked Jordan and Vernon to pull down the COVID banners and replace with the fire ban info. They're requesting that directive to come from you. Please confirm with them if you want this or any other changes. I appreciate Vernon and Jordan not just doing that based on public comment. Right?
Well, all we said is we are redoing it already, that
So,
was in the works. So that's all we agreed to.
I don't,
They need to.
I
present
can't
it.
imagine them pulling down the COVID banner unless we tell them to. I would be amazed if they just made that decision on their own. So I think we need to have a conversation about that. I don't have any problem with the fire ban notice being on there.
Well, and it needs change because it's still stating that.
Absolutely.
Stage two,
It has to
so
be.
that
But
needs to
I
be-
don't know where the whole drop the COVID banner came from. Was that public comment or whatever?
It was just the rewrite in general. They're gonna make a recommendation to us, which will include whatever they think is the right appropriate thing.
They are
to
requesting
recommend us.
the directive to come from the
Well, I
commissioner.
understand that. We haven't gotten anything to make a decision on from them yet, right? They were reworking
Well,
the
they're
website.
not bringing anything to us.
I thought they were reworking the website. Aren't they gonna
This
tell us
this
what they're
has
doing?
nothing to do with that.
I don't, yeah, I'm just addressing
Yeah.
the email that Reggie
Yeah.
sent. I don't.
I
believe
agree
we should be
with that.
pulling
I
down the
agree.
COVID banner without a public health meeting and having a discussion with Dr. Brown about that.
So
I agree.
I would think we ought to
That was my
direct
point.
Vernon to update the website, including the fire ban
Yeah.
status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The current website, that's correct. And then if it's gonna change later, it's gotta have input from public health, us and everybody
Right.
else. That's my point.
well, not everybody else. I don't know
No,
that,
meaning us, Tom,
Yeah,
and public
agreed,
health. That's all I'm saying.
agreed. I don't want
I
to
mean,
pull down COVID banner because somebody said in public comment they thought we should.
and in
That's a
fact,
public health deal.
they should be asked, they should be, the ear, both Vernon and Jordan have the ear on the public because they get questions on where is it? How do I find it? And all that. So they're redesigning the web to be more user friendly. They're gonna make a recommendation to us based upon that and their input and for us to decide to accept them or not.
get to that point, we do have an outbreak in the care facility here in Custer County right now. I don't think it needs to be probably as prominent as it is. The fire probably does need to be more prominent at this point.
No, other than that, yeah.
But yeah, we have not made that decision, so. But I think it does need to be updated so that it's current,
Sure does.
and then we can make that decision.
Right.
Anything else?
Do you want me to pursue that or are you
Uh,
expecting that they're listening or
I
how
don't
does that
know,
happen?
I would, be more than happy for you to go and visit with them about that if you would like to.
He wants to be able to.
They
sit in
are,
there.
I think they fall under you anyway,
According to the organizational chart.
So decision's been made.
so if you would be willing to do that, that would be great.
I'll put it in his file.
I got booted off. I don't know if they're on or not. IT.
I'm going. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jackie.
We'll
You want
cross our
Vernon's,
fingers.
or did you get
They are not
JD's
on.
description just in case you need it?
Yeah, let's cheat.
Get it.
Not
Phil.
something we can bring them over and have a conversation.
Probably not, I think if you
I
wanted
don't
to
need
just touch
JD's
base with them.
description.
Yeah, 'cause
I
I
need
think
that
we're all in
posting that
agreement.
he was gonna put.
Oh, he didn't give it to
I'll
us.
follow up.
Or, no, he
Thank you,
did.
sir.
He did forward it to us.
I got it on my email.
Got it. Okay.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
See you this evening at some point, huh?
Yes. I do
Check-in
believe so.
is not until 4.
I may have to go through Springs to get there anyway, so.
Be later than 4.
Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 12:26 PM.
Thank you for your